going live. It seems to have failed, so never mind. We'll try again next week. We'll just go down to the 0-0 mark. Give it a drink, and get started soon. So, you're thinking of moving to Cyprus and you're hearing all this stuff about pink slips and yellow slips and residency via investment. It's a minefield, isn't it? So tonight, I'm going to break it all down and I'm going to try and clarify everything for you. I'm even going to reveal a method that not many people seem to know about. And I'm going to tell you how you can register for GESY even if you're a third country national, i.e. somebody coming from the UK. Then when I've done all of that, I'm actually going to show you exactly how long it took for us to go through the application process and to get legal residence here in Cyprus. You're watching Cyprus Unfiltered, where I tell you real stories about real life here in Cyprus. Now look, this started out as a mini-series at the beginning of the year, and so far it's taken until July to get to this point. And this is part 3 of the mini-series. So for those of you that may remember, I know it's been a little while now, step 1, we had to sort the schools out. Step 2, we were sorting out the moving company. And you'll notice the guys among you on the thumbnail of this video, this is step 4. So you might be going, what happened to step 3? Well, step 3 is you either rent or buy a house. That's step 3. Now we're going into step 4. Not going to dwell on step 3. There's not a lot else I can tell you that I haven't already told you in previous videos. Basically, in order to sort out immigration, you do need to have a house or a legal residence in Cyprus, whether it be rented, whether it be purchased, doesn't matter. You've got to have that. There's not really much else to say on it. You know, we can talk about property and everything else, but fundamentally you need an address in Cyprus to be able to start the immigration process. So that's step 3 done. Now we're going into step 4. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be going back and forth a little bit tonight. I seem to do that most weeks, but I'm going to go across to a table. This is, again, something I've knocked up for you guys tonight. And what we're going to do is we are going to go to this. So this is something that I've been creating in the background. And what I want to do is take you through this. I appreciate there's going to be a lot of information here, but I'm trying to present the information in a way that is 1, clear, and 2, that you've probably never seen it like this done before. So what is this? What are we looking at? Well, what we're looking at here is a list of all the different ways you can get residency in Cyprus. We've got the popular ways, we've got the ways that include GESY access, we've got the permanent ways, and we've got the temporary ways. But we're going to look at all 13. Now, starting with this annual income benchmark here, you'll see that if you were to go down the fast track route, this is where you purchase a property of £300,000, €300,000 plus VAT or more, or a commercial property, then you have a certain level of income that is also required with that investment. And that income at the moment, at the time of recording, is around about the €50,000 a year mark. Now, there is additional costs that would go along with that, or income requirements. If you have a wife or a child or any other dependents, then depending on the number, it will keep going up per wife, per dependent, per whoever's in your family. And then we've got the next one, which is the EU Blue Card. And don't worry if you don't know what these are, because that's the whole point of tonight. I'm going to take you through all of them. This is what the table is below. But you've got the EU Blue Card, you've got the digital Nomad visas, you've got the visitor permit or the pink slips that you've probably heard about. You've got the startup visas if you're a startup company. You've got the MLT1 long-term PR. Now, I'm going to tell you about this because this is one that's come to light recently for somebody that I know, and this is really interesting. Then you've got the category F. Again, people hear about this, but it's not necessarily something that everybody can go for, or at least, hasn't been able to go for recently. We've got the employment permits if you're getting employed by somebody here on the island, and then you've got a student permit. So they're the different types. And as you can see, the income requirements as we go through becomes less and less and less. Now, we are going to look at this here. So what this is something I built, and essentially we can do some comparisons later on. So we can click, say, any 3 of these, and we can do a compare selection, and it's going to tell you, or it's going to compare the 3 different options for us. Now, what we're looking at the residency pathway, We are looking at whether or not GESY healthcare can be, I say included, that's not the right term. Can you access GESY by going down this method? What working permissions do you have by going down a particular route? What security and screening checks are needed? And then what residency type ultimately do you end up with? So we're going to start with the pink slip, because that seems to be the most common one for people that are third country nationals, people that are living in perhaps the UK, don't have any EU residency or any access to the EU open market and the free movement of people post-Brexit. Now, what does this allow you to do? Well, if you come in on a pink slip, first of all, you don't get any access to GESY healthcare because it's a temporary visa and you're not allowed to work. So you can't do any work on the island. If you come in via a pink slip, you have to have income from overseas. And so you have this temporary permit, you have to apply for it on an annual basis, and you need to prove your income to be able to come in on a visitor's permit or this pink slip. When you're coming in via this route, you have to have police checks. You have to make sure that you don't have a criminal record, because if you have, they won't let you on the island with a criminal record. And it's got to be certified and have been sought within the last 6 months of you leaving the UK and applying for your residency. The other thing you need to be aware of are the medical checks that need to be done. Mandatory, you are not allowed in and you're not allowed to get residency here if you have any infectious or contagious diseases. Things like HIV, things like hepatitis B, hepatitis C, syphilis. And what they'll also do in addition to those is they will x-ray your chest as well to make sure you haven't got anything untoward, let's say. So there is a number of things that you would need to provide, and you would do that health check. Typically, you would do that here. So somebody here in Cyprus would do the health check for you. You'd have to pay for the screening to be done, and then they would take that away for you and get the results. Now, something to bear in mind, something is worth bearing in mind with this. In the UK, we do not vaccinate for hepatitis B or hepatitis C. We only vaccinate for hepatitis A, is my understanding. And the reason why I understand that to be the case is because I've had doctors here on the island, when they've done blood tests on me for various things, they've gone, you don't have hepatitis B vaccination. I'm like, what's that? I didn't even know what it was, you know? They said, oh no, everybody that's born in Cyprus, they can get, or they do get hepatitis B vaccinations. Apparently it's very easy. It's like a 6-month thing. You take some jabs and then you're vaccinated for Hep B. In the UK, for whatever reason, they don't do it. They do it for Hep A, not for Hep B. Now, why am I drilling on about this point? Well, because there have been instances where people have left the UK thinking they are totally healthy. And for all intent purposes, they are, because they've done any checks, or maybe they've had checks done by the doctors or whatever in the UK before they've left, and they don't have anything. But they can then come to the island here, and you may have picked up Hep B or Hep C from somewhere, whether it's contamination of blood or whatever, but you could have picked up Hep B along the way, and you wouldn't even know about it. You wouldn't even know about it. So this is the thing. When you're leaving the UK, it might be worth, even though the UK won't necessarily check for it, if you think there is any possibility that you might have picked it up, or even if there isn't a possibility, but you just want to get it checked for peace of mind, just get it checked, because otherwise you won't find out until you're here, because they don't test for it in the UK. You won't find out until you're here. And then if you have it and you're coming on a pink slip route, they won't let you in. So what you don't want to be doing is coming here, have sold your house, done everything you need to do to get here. Then you're going through these medical checks and all of a sudden you're stuck. So it's well worth, for the cost of a blood test in the UK, whatever it might be, just do the screenings that they're going to do here, if nothing else, for peace of mind. Because like I say, there's been instances now, people I know who have come in who have actually got minute traces of, let's say, Hep B, weren't even aware of it. Now, it turns out it wasn't contagious and it was all fine, and it was so minute that it didn't cause a problem. But it could have done. It absolutely could have done. And if you are in the UK, you could have caught this and you don't even know you've got it, right? All of a sudden, you could be in a situation where you can't get into your country and all your dreams are shattered. You want to move here on a pink slip? Ain't going to happen. So it might be worth just getting that done. The other things with the pink slip is that I think I've said this earlier now, they are renewable annually. So you have to prove your income every year. You have to make sure you've got a certain level of income each year. And from what I've seen and from what I've heard from people going through the pink slip process, the requirements quite often will move. The goalposts will move. So just because they have a certain threshold today doesn't mean that next year the threshold doesn't increase. Just something to bear in mind. Right. Then you've got fast track. So you've got the fast track PR. Now, this one is regulation 6.2. And this is what a lot of people hear about when they hear residency via investment. So when you do this, you'll see here, you've got full access to GESY. I'm going to come on to that in a bit. I'm going to go through this in a bit more detail because a lot of people think you can't get access to GESY if you're a third country national, but there are instances, certainly when you come down this route, that you can. I'm going to talk to you about that in a bit. But let's say you invest 300 grand in a property out here. You still don't have the legal right to work. You can work remotely, yes, but you are not able to work here. Your income has to come from overseas, whether that be dividends, whether that be a pension or whatever it might be. Your income has to come from overseas. Now, in terms of being able to apply for this, police records, everything else, this is still mandatory. You still cannot do this if you've got a criminal record. And again, the medical checks that they're going to do, they're going to screen you for infectious diseases and all of that. But once you've got it, unlike the pink slip, once you've got it, you then have it. You got it for lifetime. Unless, and I don't quote me on this, but I believe if you were to then sell the property that earned you the investment, or you disposed of that property, I'm pretty sure you then lose the permanent residency. So it's permanent as long as you've got the investment still in Cyprus. So don't think you can just park 300 grand in a property, sell it the next year and carry on doing what you were doing. No, you've got to leave it in Cyprus. It's got to be invested in a Cypriot property somewhere. Okay, then you've got category F. So category F is kind of traditional permanent residency. And this is what a lot of people that are, let's say, retiring would come out and apply for. Now, again, it gives people full access to GESY once they've got it. They still don't have the legal right to work, but then if people are retired, there's no problem there. You still have to do all the same police checks, all the same health checks and everything else. You can still work remotely if you wanted to. But once you get it, again, it's lifetime. Now, the challenge with category F, and this is hearsay because I've never applied for category F. From what I understand, they'd postponed it at one point. They'd put it on hold because there were so many applications via category F that the backlog was also taking a long time to clear. So they had so many applications that they paused it, I think, is what I heard. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But category F, there is a huge backlog of category F applications. Now, with residency in Cyprus, you only have to have the appointment in or the application in, and you'll get a receipt. And then when you're going through customs, even though you'll have extended past the 90 days, you will still be able to move freely in and out of the borders because you'll have a receipt, which it was the most ridiculous thing ever. When I got mine, it was a slip of white paper and I could have made it myself. But anyway, the customs officials wanted to see the slip of white paper and I guess they could check it on the computer, to be fair. And they could see when the residency appointments were and everything else. But anyway, so you could come in on a category F. But like I say, this, from what I understand, it can take literally years to go down this route, but it is there. Then you've got the digital nomad visas. Now, interestingly, this is for people that want to come in. It's typically a 1-year residency agreement or a 1-year kind of initial agreement. I think it can be extended. Yeah, I've got it here up to 3 years total. Now, you can't work locally. So I should probably have clarified this. When I say you can't work locally, but you can work remotely, if you are, let's say you're a nomad, or let's say, you do like I do, let's say you're an IT contractor as well. So theoretically, if I came here on a pink slip, I wouldn't be allowed to work in Cyprus for a Cypriot company. But I would be allowed to work for my UK company and invoice my UK clients because my income is coming from overseas. I'm not economically invoicing or doing any work on the island per se. So I'm not working in bars and restaurants. I'm not working with businesses and companies here. I am literally working with UK clients. My income's coming from abroad. And it's the same with this digital nomad visa. It's just that it's up to 3 years. So again, you don't get access to GESY. It is the same standards when it comes to police records and when it comes to medical. You can notice a theme here, right? Whenever it's temporary, or even when it's permanent. But basically, unless you're within the EU so far, you still have to keep doing all these checks. Right. Then you've got the MLT1 long-term permanent residency. Now, this is an interesting one. And I did say that I was going to talk about something that not many people seem to know about. So I know somebody that's going through this firsthand at the moment who had initially gone through the permanent residency route via investment. That then became very complicated due to reasons I won't discuss on camera because it's not my business. But fundamentally, the 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 avenue that he wanted to take was then no longer available to him because of property developers out here on the island. But because he'd been out here now more than 5 years, this MLT1 becomes available. So you have to have been on the island for 5 years or more. Now, if you've been on the island for 5 years, let's say you've been up here and you've just been doing a pink slip for 5 years, when you get to the end of the 5 years, or let's say you've done permanent residency and you've invested 300 grand and you've done it that way, well, basically you could then go for this long-term residency and it just becomes a 5-year renewable as opposed to an annual thing. So again, with the probably not so much with the fast tracks, that doesn't make sense. The pink slip routes would definitely be like this. So if you've been on the pink slip for 5 years and you've been rolling over, at the end of the 5 years, you can apply for this. Gives you full access to GESY. You can work locally. You'd be just like for all intents and purposes, you'd be like an EU national. So you can work remotely. You still have to do the police checks and the medical checks. But the other thing, which escapes me, the other thing, why do I do these live? The other thing that was really important that I wanted to tell you and I've forgotten about. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. This was like the most important bit of the video, I bet you. I'll come back to it. I'll come back to it and not waste your time. Okay. What was I going to say? There's something really important to say about this. Somebody put it in the comments. There's something really important to tell you about this one. I can't remember what it is. Okay, I'm going to come back to it. If I remember it, I'm going to come back to it. So moving on from that, you got employment permits. What's an employment permit? Well, that's basically if you were to work for a company out here on the island, you can get sponsored by a company and they can employ you to come and work for them. Now, that is a sponsored placement. And if your role with that company was to cease, then your residency or your visa also ceases. You can't just come in, sponsored by a company, decide you're not going to work for them anymore and go and work for somebody else because your visa's gone. The visa is attached to a particular company. But if you came in via that route and you were employed by somebody here who did sponsor you, then you've got access to the local jobs, which makes sense because they've just sponsored you to come in. You've got access to that job or at least that company. You could work remotely, technically. You also get access to the healthcare while you're here, but you still have to do all of these different screenings and you still have to go through that. And that's fine. And again, it is employed to a contract. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, I know what I can do, Mark. I can open up a company in Cyprus and I'll just sponsor myself to come out. Nah, it doesn't work like that. So the company that is out here has to employ at least 5 people. And it is my understanding that they also need Cypriot directors. So there need to be people that have already got residency here or whatever, and they would be the directors of the company. So you can't just come from the EU if you've got a bit of cash and go, I'll set up a company and I'll sponsor myself and I'll sponsor my wife and my kids and everybody. No, it doesn't work like that. Right, then you've got this EU blue card. Now, what this is quite interesting. So you may have heard things like this when it comes to, say, like Australia and places where you've got high skilled jobs that are in demand. So I know somebody who's come in via this route, and in essence, they are a highly skilled worker. They're programmers, and they are seen as in short demand on the island, and therefore they get access to this. So they can come in on a blue card, they get full access to the healthcare. They're basically working for a company at this point because they are working for a particular company whose skills they are applying them for. So therefore, they're not working remotely. I mean, could they do some work on the side? I mean, technically they could, but also technically they shouldn't. And you've got to do the same police checks, the same medical checks, and that's initially 2 years, and it's renewable. But you can do it. And again, once that 2 years, if you've done that 3 times, you crossed over into the 5-year period, well, then you can jump into this up here and just apply for permanent residency using this MLT1. So that then takes you down the EU blue card route. Then we've got the startup visa. So again, this is for innovation. Unlike the UK, which seems to they seem to stifle any kind of innovation. They seem to stamp out any kind of business, any kind of growth. You know, the UK is not a place to build business anymore. It's not a place to grow business from what I see, from what I hear. And Cyprus, they are very favorable. So if you are innovative, you are bringing a company over here and you are doing tech, not only can you get access via a startup visa, you get full access to GESY, you can work and everything else. Again, it's 2 years. Not only can you do all of that, but if you own the IP within your business, which if you're a tech company, you probably do, then you get access to a cheaper rate of tax. So already Cyprus has a low tax rate. We've got a 15% tax rate out here, only just gone up from 12.5%. If you own the IP within your business, that drops to about 2% or 2.5%, something like that. So it's really low, like crazy low. So again, that's another route that you can come through that not many people know about. Then you've got the yellow slip. Now, the yellow slip is what a lot of EU nationals will talk about. I know there's some people that follow me on here, and people have been chatting to me in the chat and saying, I've got an Irish passport, or I've got a husband or a wife that's Irish, all of that kind of good stuff. Well, good luck for you, or good news for you, is that you can then piggyback off the back of their EU yellow card visa. So if you are an EU national, because you've got the freedom to move around the country, or to move around Europe, you've got basically everything we had before Brexit, you've got the free movement and you can live and work anywhere basically in the EU, well, they can do that. But they still have to apply, even though they can legally work here, within the first 90 days, they still have to apply for a yellow slip because they need to make the Cypriot authorities know and the tax authorities know that they are living out here on the island. So they still have to apply for something. And it's the yellow slip that they apply for. But because they are within the EU, they literally get full access to everything. All the healthcare, they can work here, they can work remotely. They don't even have to do the police checks. They don't have to do the medical checks. All of this stuff is exempt. And then it's permanent and lifetime validity. So this is what is no longer available for people in the UK. If you don't have EU citizenship for whatever reason, you know, you're not married to somebody, or you don't have any ancestry, you don't have any EU ancestors, then you're going to be coming down this pink slip route quite often, which doesn't give you a huge amount other than the legal right to live here. But if you've got any kind of EU access, you literally get the full shebang. Then you've got the Cypriot spouse. And the Cypriot spouse is, let's say you married a Cypriot person, husband, wife, whatever. Again, you marry them. And I don't know the details of all of this, but fundamentally, you marry somebody here. I don't know how long you've got to be married for, but once you've gone through that process, you literally get access to everything. You can, you're married to a Cypriot, and you can just get access to everything. So, if you're a single guy, single lady, you want to get to Cyprus, you're a third country national, ain't got any money, get on the Cypriot dating websites, see what you can do. But anyway, Cypriot spouse, that is a way forward. And then you got this one, the EU spouse. Love this one. This is my favorite. Why? Because that applies to me. So I am an EU spouse member. This is where I came in. This is where a lot of you will come in if you've got a partner in the EU. So my wife is Polish. For those of you who follow me for a little while now, you'll know my wife is Polish, came to the UK back in 2010. And because of her, I get access to literally everything too. I can live and work here. I can live and work here. I've got full access to the healthcare. I didn't have to do the police checks. I started to, and I'm going to talk to you about that when I will talk through my timeline in a bit. Didn't have to do the police checks in the end. Didn't have to worry about the medical checks in the end. And I only have to apply for it every 5 years. But then after 5 years, I can start applying for other things anyway. right? Something else I found out about this is because I'm here on an EU spousal visa, I will look at risk and I will look at this and go, what happens if for any reason, like we were no longer together, either through death, through divorce, or anything like that? If you come in on an EU spousal visa, I don't know if this is the same for a Cypriot spousal visa, by the way, but I assume it's going to be similar. If you come in on an EU spousal visa, and I think the threshold is either 2 or 3 years, if that relationship either then ends, like say through death or through divorce or whatever, within 2 or 3 years, if it's as long as it's longer than that, you need to check it. You know, if you're thinking of getting a divorce or whatever, then just go and check it. But I'm not, by the way, just put that out there. Ash is probably watching. I'm not looking at getting divorced. I'm not looking at bumping you off, but I think it's about 2 or 3 years. Can't remember which. Let's say 3 years. After that, if that relationship didn't exist, I still get to keep all my rights and I still get to stay here on the island. I don't automatically get booted off, which is cool. Good for me. But yes, EU spousal visa, very cool. And like I say, I was very, very lucky when we were going through residency because I thought that I was going to have to come down the pink slip route, like a lot of you watching. And we were preparing for that. I'd already got my police checks done. You know, I was getting everything done in the UK. I was getting it all sorted. But as it happens, didn't need to do it. Right. Family reunion. Now, this one, I mean, this is getting into the nitty gritty of how you can get here now. Fundamentally, you might be a descendant of somebody that used to live here, right? I'm actually doing something similar. I am a descendant of Polish ancestors, nothing to do with my wife. My my grandparents on my mum's side were Polish. So as a result of that, I'm technically half Polish, as in half Polish blood, but 100% Polish, 100% British, if that makes sense. But because of my grandparents, I'm actually going down the route of getting EU citizenship anyway, right? Through my Polish ancestors. So you can do a similar thing here with Cyprus. If you've got family, if let's say you were born and bred in the UK, but you've got Cypriot ancestors here on the island, then there will be a way you could potentially come in off the back of that connection. You would need to speak to somebody professional to do that. I wouldn't know too much about it. Every country is going to be different. You know, like it's been the process has taken me about 3 years with Poland so far. It's not quick, but it's doable. And then finally, you got the student permit. If you come in here on a student visa, you literally, you can't access GESY, you can't work, you've just got to come here and study. Don't know how you actually get any money. You must be gifted it from the parents, from wherever you come from. And you have to do the full suite of checks and everything else. Now, I am just going to show you a couple of things on here because the ones that people are likely to come on, I'm going to go yellow slip. I'm just going to do a quick comparison just so you can see them again. We're going to do the pink slip and we're going to do the fast track, right? And we're going to go compare selection. And we're just going to pull this up here. So this is just a summary. Now, this is, like I say, it's the tool that I built. It's just a summary of the various options that we picked. We just picked those ones at random. And, well, not random, pick them because I figured it's going to be most applicable to say for people on the call. So temporary visa, again, it's 24K, if I'm not mistaken, on this, and then it's 20% uplift with the spouse and 15% for the child. Whereas if you come on the fast track, it's 50 grand a year, 15K for your wife, and 10K per child. So in my situation, let's say I came out here through residency via investment or the fast track PR, then I would have to earn about 75 grand because I would be the 50 grand a year applicant, plus my wife, plus my son. Now, if you've got 2 children, it's going to be 85 grand. You've got 3 kids, it's going to be 95 grand. You get the picture, right? And then you've got the yellow slip, which for all intent purposes is this, although mine was a spousal visa, I basically get the same benefits as having a yellow slip. And you don't have to have any of that. You just need to show that you've got some income, right? Is what it's showing there. Interestingly, when I came through on the spousal visa, I'll just bring this to me for a second. So my wife had to sign a form and basically said that if I can't pay my bills or whatever, then she's responsible for me, which I thought was brilliant. I figured, right, I'm going to come to Cyprus, I'm just going to kick back. I'm not going to do anything. She's responsible. She can take care of everything. It's all good. But anyway, I just thought that was quite funny because if you look at the bank statements, you look at anything, like literally, they search, or they were checking everything up until the point it came to a yellow slip, and it would just make no sense on paper. Like literally, they can see that if they dug even slightly below the surface, they would go, well, hang on a minute, how would that actually work? But anyway, it is what it is. I'm not going to argue with it. So they're those ones there. Now, I'm just going to close this down because there was definitely something I wanted to say on this MLT one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare that one just on here now. And let's compare that with, let's say, the pink slip, because that's a common one. And let's go to the category F, because that one might be good for people that are retiring or have retired. So we've got the pink slip we just talked about. We've got the MLT1. So you need proof of consistent historical income. Yep. Stable resources. So again, the finance requirements are a lot lower here. And you still have to do the checks. There was something I really want to tell you about this. I'm going to remember when I finish the live stream. I'm going to forget what it was, and I'm going to remember then. It's going to really annoy me. But anyway, then we've got that, and it's compared to the yellow slip. Now, I appreciate there's lots of different permutations of this. Excuse me. Lots of different permutations of this, and there's lots of different ways you could technically get access for residency in Cyprus. One thing I will say, I should have said this at the start, really, but one thing I will say is you probably gathered by now, I'm not a professional in this. Like, this is me doing, it's my research, it's what I know from experience, it's what I know from talking to people here on the island. If you're going to go down any of these routes, I would, you can actually do all of this stuff yourself. And so maybe you can get some benefit from this video now. Maybe you can just pull out the forms and apply for it all yourself. You don't have to pay somebody. I paid like 750 euros for 3 people, me, my wife, and my son. I mean, I paid it. I would absolutely do it again for sure. But if you didn't want to pay somebody, you could just do this on your own. You could go get the forms, you could download, you could fill in what you need to fill in. It will make life harder for sure, but you could do it on your own. Anyway, that is what I wanted to take you through right now. Now, I appreciate that it's kind of been a bit of a fast. I appreciate it's been a bit of a fast walkthrough through. And so what I was going to say was, if you want a copy of this, if you want to be able to log into this and see this, then I will make it available for people. The link is already available in the description of this video. I'm also just going to put a link in the chat. But before I do that, before I put the link in the chat, I just want to say, and I've said this with my supermarket video as well, because I just want to be completely transparent here, right? Cyprus Unfiltered is not going to become a pitch fest, right? I don't want every video ending with, buy this, sign up for that, here's my latest offer, whatever it might be. I don't want it to be that. That's not why I started this channel. It really isn't. But like I've said to you before, outside of Cyprus Unfiltered, I do have other business interests, right? I've got property projects on the go. I've got other ventures and ideas and things I'm doing. And at some point in the future, I might launch a service or a product or a community of some sort, or even a consultancy, who knows, a relocation offering. I don't know, but I might launch something, and I might do it. I might do nothing at all. I don't know, right? The honest answer is I don't know yet, right? I already have my income coming in from other places. I'm not looking to monetize this per se, if that makes sense. But rather than suddenly in a year's time or one day going, hey, I've now got this thing, and I'm thinking, right, who might be interested? I'd rather be transparent now. And so, yes, I'm going to give you the link, and it's going to be behind an email. It's not even a paywall. It's just going to be behind an email. Like, give me your email. I'll give you the access to this, and you can download it. It's totally free. It's not going to cost you anything. And like I say, in return for your email, you're going to get access to this. You're going to get any access that you want for it. I'm not going to spam you. I'm not going to do anything like that. It's just, I just wanted to be able to do this, but be transparent at the same time. And the thing is, you could literally sign up, get the link, do what you need to do, and you could unsubscribe, right? It doesn't really bother me that much. I just wanted to set this up because the thing is, I wanted to be open about it, because one day I might do something and then I'll let people know, and it might be of interest. It might be of no interest, right? So I just want to be fair and transparent, because I think that's the best way of doing things, right? So let me put the link in the chat, and you guys can access this, and you can then just go ahead and you can have a play to your heart's content. And like I say, you won't find it online. That's not a website that I've just gone to. It's a little app that I've built, and built that in the background, fed it the information that I know, and just built it for the purpose of this. But anyway, the link is in the chat. Now, before I come on to Q&A, there's still quite a bit more I want to talk through tonight. There's actually quite a lot to go through. So let's talk about GESY, because some of you might have raised an eyebrow with respect to GESY and being able to access it, even if you are coming in via permanent residency, because you might have thought, I can't access it because I'm a third country national. Now, if you come in via permanent residency, it doesn't give you automatic access to GESY. It doesn't. You also need to become a tax resident of Cyprus, and you have to register for tax or the tax department, and you have to declare your income, and you need to start paying GESY contributions. Once you've done that, well, then you can actually apply for GESY. So if you come in and you have purchased a property via investment, you've now got your permanent residency, you can come in and you can absolutely apply for residency once you become a tax resident here. So you've got the 60-day rule, the 183-day rule, or whatever it is, but you can absolutely come in and you can apply for GESY. You can access GESY. So what do you need to do before you get GESY? Because obviously there's going to be a period of time. You come to the island, you then haven't got GESY, but what happens if you're ill? Well, you have to have health insurance regardless. When you are coming through, even myself coming through on the spousal visa, until we were registered for GESY, I had to have health insurance. And there are lots of places on the island, that will do basic packages where it's about 100 and I think we paid about 150, 160 euros for the year. And it was basic medical cover, right? But it was qualifying healthcare cover that was mandatory. It was mandatory to be able to come in and apply for residency. So you have to have some kind of healthcare and cover. Now, if you're on a pink slip and you can't access GESY at all, you still have to have that, but you have to renew it every year. So you have to have insurance for all the time you're here. If you're going to be applying for GESY because you're either here on the yellow slip or permanent residency or whatever, then you still have to have the insurance, but you won't need to renew it the following year. It'll just be in that stopgap until you get GESY. Now, what a lot of expats do, they will literally just arrive with private health insurance. And you can get some that's international, you can get some that's specific on the island. But fundamentally, once you're eligible, then you register for GESY. And then I know some people on the island that have got both. They will then keep GESY for GP visits and like doing the routine healthcare, but they keep the private insurance for faster access to specialists or private hospitals and things like that. Now, I'll be honest, I did pay privately last year. For those of you that have been following any of my journey, I did pay privately last year, which insurance would have covered had I had it. So if I'd have had insurance, it would have definitely covered what I did last year. But my experience with GESY and the national health system out here it's like night and day compared to what you might be used to back in the UK. So at the moment, I don't run a hybrid system. I transitioned over from private healthcare and to GESY, and that's all I have. Some people will have private healthcare, some people won't. Maybe one day I will, but at the moment, I don't feel like I need to. So there we go. Look, the key takeaway is permanent residency gets you the right to live in Cyprus, but tax residency is what gets you the right to sign up to GESY because you're paying in those contributions. So that unlocks that public healthcare system. Cool. Right. Now, the last thing I want to take you through before we move on to Q&A is I'm going to take you through timescales. I'm going to take you through exactly what I did, how we did it, how long it took, because then you can see if you're doing anything similar to us, how long it all takes. So I'm going to move this out the way, put that down there. I'm going to come to this. Be a little bit interactive on this one, but that's okay. Now, we started our planning for residency back in June 2023, June the 6th, in fact. And I reached out to a guy called Kypros who was recommended to me, and I've recommended him to you, quite a lot of you people now watching me. He does my accountancy, he did my immigration and everything else. And so on the 6th of June, I reached out to him following a recommendation from a situation pretty much like you guys are in right now, where people were posting questions on Facebook and they say, hey, I'm looking at doing X or Y or Z. Does anybody know anybody? And I put a post on there. Somebody recommended him to me and I reached out to him June 6th. We then confirmed the moving date. So we're like, right, on August the 11th, that's when we're coming, right? So August 7th, 2023, that's when we're coming. Confirmed all of that. I got a call and we ended up speaking about a week later, give or take. And we had an introductory Zoom call. And then we aligned on my corporate goals and my immigration strategies. Corporate goals being I wanted to set up a business in Cyprus. I was sick of paying UK tax. So I wanted to set up an entity in Cyprus to move me away from paying all of the UK tax, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are like that right now. So then June 19th. So what's this, like 6, 7 days later? I got the MEU1 form, that was my wife, and I got the MEU2 form, right? These are two separate forms because the MEU1 is for yellow slip and the MEU2 is for the spousal visa. Now, I didn't know this at the time because prior to this, I'd been talking to lots of people. I've been doing exactly what a lot of you guys do, which is reading online, reading Facebook. In this day and age now, you probably jump onto AI and try and figure it out as well, maybe ChatGPT or Grok or something. And I knew that I had to go through this because I wasn't technically an EU citizen, that I was married, but I didn't really understand it. Like at the time, I was like, well, I'm still coming through on a pink slip, right? that was my head. In my head, that's what it was. Like the MEU2 form, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it meant. And that's fine because that's what I got this guy for. So he was helping us with it. So June 19th, again, I was doing everything that we needed to do. So I got our marriage certificate apostilled, which you will need to do regardless. However, when you get your marriage certificate apostilled, that again is only if you're outside of the EU. So if you're married in the UK, then you would need to get it apostilled and you'd need to get it all signed and stamped and everything else. But because me and my wife, we got married in Poland, the way the EU wedding certificates work is that they automatically have the details of the wedding certificate in multiple languages. And if I'm not mistaken, it was even on there in Greek. It was definitely in English and Polish. I think it even had it in Greek. So once we pulled it out and it was like, oh, cool, we literally need to do nothing. We can just hand that over. And they accepted it. Like, sweet. But we were gearing up to get the marriage certificate apostle because that's what we thought we needed to do. I went and got my police checks done because even though I didn't need to do it, I didn't know that at this time. And I was just getting it done anyway because of everything I'd read online. So I went and got my police checks done. I was getting I forgot what they're called, but basically you have to go to the police station. It's like the enhanced, is it DB checks? God, I can't remember now. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it's the sort of thing you have to do when you go and work in schools and all the rest of it. And you get an enhanced one where it's like local forces and everything else. I don't know. Anyway, you have to do these checks. And we also needed to get the lease agreement stamped by the council. Now, I didn't have a lease agreement at this point. So it was just things that I was told we were going to need to do as it was coming. Form submissions dependent on legal company registration for employer information. Now, this is going to come into play a little bit later on. You'll see why this is the case. But that's what we did. That was the initial contact. So that's back in June 2023. Right. Then we carry on in June. June 30th, I arrived in Cyprus. Now, for those of you that have, like I say, been following me for a little while, you'll know that I flew to Cyprus for about 3 days, handed over about 8 grand in cash to a guy that I'd never met before through somebody else that I met on the internet. And it just had scam written all over it. Like I was the guy that if you were watching me on TV, you'd be going, don't do it. It's so obvious. It's like, why? Anyway, I was that guy and I didn't get scammed and it was all cool. But I arrived in Cyprus and while I was here for the 3 days, I went and met Kypros. And I went and met him. We had a coffee and we were looking to finalize details on the company name. And we were just looking at residency documents, anything I needed to do. I thought, well, I'll do it in person and we can just talk through some things. Then we move into July. So at this point, I then got all the information that's requested. I've gone through, got the data that is needed for immigration and everything else. We've got the business structure. That was all set up as to what we needed to do. All my passport, all the ID, all of that stuff is all scanned, sent across. And now, because I'd come across and I'd signed the lease with this house, I could then confirm my residential address. Like I say, you need, this was step 3 that I didn't do a video for separately, but you need a residential address to be able to apply for residency. So I'd now got my contract that was signed and everything else. Also needs to be stamped. It needs to be stamped by the local mukta. That caught me out. Anyway, you have to get your residency. No, you don't. You have to get, excuse me. You have to get everything stamped here by the mukta. Just this mukta is a guy that sits in an office like a council office, and you go and you pay him €5 for his stamp, and he just stampy all day long. Anyway, excuse me. Right, I need a quick drink. 1 second. So I got the residential lease agreement. I could then sign up to the EAC, and I got my electricity contract on there. That was then used as proof of address. And I had to then pass all of this information to Peter Morton for the transfer of residency. So in order to do that, I had to pass it over because customs wouldn't clear anything that I'd sent across until I'd got a load of this documentation submitted. So again, it's what Cyprus was helping me sort and getting all this stuff sent across and everything else. So we were doing all of that, sent stuff across to Peter Morton, and that then allowed us to get the transfer of residency underway. July the 11th, I was just following up. Has everything gone through with the data pack? Because again, Siga, things work slowly in Cyprus. Everything moves slower. And so I've sent an email, sent all the stuff across on the 3rd. Gets to the 11th, I'm like, it's over a week's gone by now, not heard anything. So I start following up, start chasing. And anyway, at this point, I'm still chasing information because I thought I was coming through on the pink slip. I still thought I needed to get my health checks done. So I'm like, what's happening? I know I need to go and get a HIV test done. Where do I do it? What do I do? I've never had one done before in my life. What do I need to do? So I'm following up on all this stuff. I didn't need to do it in the end, but I was chasing it to find out where it got to. Okay. Then we get to July 28th. And I'm going then back. Let me think. No, ignore that. Right. So July 28th, we get the appointment through for residency. Now, this is the really important thing because we had a date of August the 22nd. So we're going to arrive on the 11th of August. We get the date on the 22nd of August. And that's when we would then go and speak to the people about residency and everything else. And so we would sit down with the residency, with immigration, and go through everything we need to go through. On the day, so August 22nd, on the day, my appointment is cancelled. And it's cancelled because Cyprus cancelled it. The reason why I cancelled it was because we didn't have all the information that we needed, because I needed my company information, the information that I was using to set up a company out here in Cyprus. Now, for those of you wanting to set up a company out here, I'm going to do some videos on tax and on business setup and everything else in the coming weeks. But setting up a company out here in Cyprus is not like it is in the UK. When I left the UK, you used to be able to set up a company in about 72 hours. It cost you £12.50 online. And within 72 hours, it was all done and dusted. You could do it all online. I think now it's like £100, but it's still the same principle. You set it up in a matter of days. Out here, you start the process. A company can only be formed by a lawyer. And it's a lawyer or a solicitor in the UK, but it's a lawyer out here. So you have to go through a lawyer to set a company up, and it'll cost you over £1,000 to form a company. If you go through a provider, somebody that will do the package for you, they can charge you £2,000 upwards for setting up a company. And they'll package it up with a service and everything else. But I mean, literally, I went through my accountant. He did it with the lawyer, and it cost me, I think it was about £1,100 or £1,200 to set my company up. It was, don't get me wrong, it's still a kick in the teeth, but it was like half the price I was being quoted by some people. Anyway, that needed to be in place. And it wasn't, because it didn't take 72 hours. It felt like it took 72 days. Honestly, it is slow, really slow. So the appointment got cancelled. It got pushed back, but it didn't matter, because even though we were going to be outstaying our 90 days, because we had this little bit of white paper that said, hey, you're okay, your appointment's booked and everything else, we were then able to just live as we were, as though we'd got residency, because the appointment was in the diary. So we moved on from the employee details, my company being set up, and on the 24th, we rescheduled the appointment to September 15th. Cool. Kicks it down the road by about 3 weeks. That's fine. There's not an issue. I'm just going about my life, doing what I'm doing. Doesn't really impact me either way now. We're in the island. We've moved. We're as good as here, right? So it's just formalities. August 29th, Forward formal appointment notice to Peter Morton, removals for customs vehicle clearance. Because when you're coming over, you have to send the information across to customs because they want to make sure that you've got your residency appointment. And because they seemed more interested in the car than literally anything else I was bringing. I could have brought drugs, alcohol. They didn't seem to care. They were only interested in my car. And so you have to, in order to not pay tax, not pay import duty and everything else, to do the transfer of residency, you have to prove you've got the residency appointment, and therefore that's what I needed to send across. Right. Then you'll have noticed there's a gap and we get to October, but we had an appointment in September. Well, because in between these times, there was still nothing to report. I still didn't have a company at this point. So we started it. You look like back here, finalized June 30th, finalized company name, residency plans, submitting everything. So around about July, it's been submitted, right? The company gets set up. October, it was set up. Like, come on, how slow can you be? Well, the answer is very, but it's fine. So I got the company, got it set up, got my employment contract because even though I'm a director of my company, I then had to write myself a contract that says I employ myself. I'm the only director of my company, but I still had to write myself a contract. Anyway, there we go. So I wrote myself a contract and I appointed me as the director, my wife's the secretary, all done. Now, annoyingly, at the time in 2023, the director and the secretary, like in the UK, or like the UK used to be, couldn't be the same person. Now they can be, which is really annoying because for those of you that see my banking videos and the Bank of Cyprus and trying to open a Cypriot bank account, the freaking secretary has to sign everything alongside the director. So when I was saying that I went to the bank 9 times, it was 2 of us going to the bank 9 times. Such a waste of time. Anyway, now you can set it up so that you can be the secretary and the director if there's just one of you in the company. But at the time you couldn't. Not bitter. Not frustrated, but it's okay. November 10th, submit signed employment contracts and sent those over. So I had to sort it out there. They were then sent across, they were submitted, and all of the final missing information was sent across to immigration. And then we had the appointment and everything else came across. And on November 23rd, that was our rescheduled, the last appointment. We attended it. We actually got to see. So we arrived in August 11th, November 23rd, sat down in front of people. That's when we're doing the background check, showing them the stamped rental agreements, utility contracts, my contract for between me and my business. And then we get to December 2023 and we get our residency cards. Happy days. But it took from the process started, let's say, or let's just go back here, started filling out the forms. I mean, you could argue we started in June and it took till December. So 6 months, thereabouts, give or take. It's not quick. Now, there's a couple of things I just want to talk about because when it came to picking up, I'll come back to me for a second. When it came to picking up the residency card, it was actually quite interesting, actually. You go to Aliens and Immigration. It's the most random place. So you walk in, and actually, let me show you. I'm going to show you. Let's just come to this. And 1 second. Oh, zoom in. Don't want a face full of me, do you? Let's go. Right. Let's just do this. Whoa, hang on a minute. Let me close that down. 1 second. That's why. Let me just do incognito window. That has all of my stars and address and everything on. That'd be silly, wouldn't it? Where are we going? We're going to maps. No, we're doing it again. Bah. Right, 1 second. Going to maps. Go to maps here. No, I reject your cookies. Go away. Leave me alone. Right. Let's go to Aliens and Immigration. So where we want to go? We want to go to Paphos. Let's just go to satellite view a sec. I could just type Aliens and Immigration, couldn't I? Let's do that. Aliens. I was almost in the right place. Not quite. Anyway, right. So you come to this place and the pictures. Look at that. 2.1. 2.1. It's an amazing place. But let me just show you. So you pull up outside and we literally parked on the road. And I think we parked literally just somewhere here. outside this dry clean place, and you're looking around, and you're like, well, where's aliens and immigration? Right, somewhere here. Google Maps says it's here. Looking around, couldn't find it. So I have to come away across this way a little bit, and then you zoom in, and you see this sign that says aliens and immigration. Oh, okay. Well, this doesn't look great. And if I can just, oh, come on. I can just come here. Right. So now you can kind of see around the corner, or you can't. Around the corner, it looks like a block of flats. Now, when you go around there, you basically go up to like the second or third floor. And when you get there, you walk into this little office here. And I'm not joking. I walked in and it was full. It was filled with people that, for all intent purposes, looked like they'd just got off the boat. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's what it looked like. And I'm not joking. We were stood there, all three of us. And I just felt like I shouldn't be there. I felt like I'd broken the law. I can't explain it. I just felt like I was pleading asylum or something like that. When you saw the characters in this room, and I just felt like I really didn't want to be there. But anyway, this is the aliens and immigration place in Paphos. Now, when we turned up, so the guy that was helping us, we turned up, and I remember there was a queue of people here, loads of people around here, and there was somebody in this room. This room's like the formal room, right? It's where it happens. Oh, actually, there you go. Look, that's the door. I told you, it's like a block of flats, right? You literally, that's aliens and immigration services for Cyprus in Paphos is through this door, and people live there upstairs. Anyway, right. So you come back to this. So there's loads of people in here. It's a very warm, kind of sweaty room. And there's officials coming in and out. And of course, in Cyprus, nobody looks official. They're just all wearing jeans and t-shirt. And you can't really tell if they work there or if there's somebody trying to get in there. Nobody looks formal. Nobody looks smart. They're just all jeans, t-shirt, whatever. So anyway, our guy starts talking to this other guy. And it turns out we needed to have had something stamped. I didn't know we needed to get something stamped. And so anyway, they're trying to send us away. They're trying to send us away for another appointment. Now, bearing in mind, this had been kicked down the road several times. And I'm like, I don't want to come back for another appointment. It's now November. I want to just finish this, put it to bed, and be gone. So there's a bit of an argument, let's say, between Kypros and the guys. It's like, I say an argument, I mean, there was raised voices. And they're talking in Greek, and we're like, well, this is awkward. Like, what do we do? Anyway, he comes over to us like, Mark, Joanna, come with me. So we followed him. And if I go back to the map, so literally we came out, he drove us down to this area here, and we go down this way, and we go to this Paphos Court. And that Paphos Court was actually okay. It was nice. It was a nice modern building. You walked in, it was modern inside. But you walk in, you go into the courts, and we needed to get a stamp. So you walk in, and he goes, right, Mark, Joanna, just wait there. He walks off, goes down to the right. I'll come back to this second. Come back to me. So he goes off to the right, and he goes into this room, and they stamp this form. They only take cash. Anyway, they only take cash. They won't take card payments or anything. And then he comes back, and he walks to the other side, and then he gives the stamped bit of paper to another guy who then stamps it again. I love their stamps out here. Freaking stamps. Everything's stamps. So we've got four stamps on there. Then he's done another stamp. And then we leave. And then we go back to the aliens and immigration. And Kypros basically goes in, gives them the bit of paper. Like, right, fine, done. And the guy's like, okay. Someone else is selling Greek. Don't really understand it. And then we get taken into a room. They take our pictures. And within about, 15 minutes after that, excuse me, we're walking out with our yellow slips. Like, what just happened? I literally didn't know what happened, because honestly, when I say you could do this on your own, you absolutely could do this on your own. You could figure it out. There'll be people that have done it on their own for sure. But I know for a fact that if he wasn't there on that day, I would not have got my yellow slip at that point. Now, to be fair, I didn't get my card at that point. They got their yellow slips. I didn't get my card. I got my card later on. Well, I'm going to come onto the timeline for that. I got my card later on. because they get the yellow slips and they've got that. I have to get my card made. But fundamentally, if he wasn't there, we would have been sent away. We would have had to wait another month because we wouldn't have known to go to the courts, and somebody would have said, oh, you need to go to the court and get this stamped. And then I'd have been thinking, but do I need an appointment? Do I not? And then I'd get to the court and then I wouldn't know that I'd have to pay cash, all of this stuff. And it would just be a faff. Well, now you know, maybe you can figure it out on your own. Maybe you won't need to pay somebody to do it. But that was what we went through at the time. Come December 13th. So December 13th, that's when I was, December, is it December 13th? I think it's December 13th. I then picked up the card. Now, I want to go back to where we just were. Let me come back to this. Just 1 second. Back to this. Right. So go back to aliens and immigration. Somewhere here, maybe. But literally just there. There we go. Right. So you come back to aliens and immigration. So let me click on this. So then on December the 13th, we hadn't heard anything at this point, right? We hadn't heard anything, didn't know where my card was, didn't know anything. And I was like, I'm just going to go and I'm just going to ask because surely, it can't take another month, to print a bloody card. So we walked in, getting past everybody again, all these people in there that have just got off the boat, and you're like, oh, bloody hell, here we go. Kind of make my way up to this counter. And you see the bit of glass there, right? So you can see the glass on the screen. There's a gap in it. And I said to the lady, I don't know what I said. It would have been something like, hey, I need an ID card, had my photo taken, can't remember what it was. But it was something like that, right? Because then she said, I think I gave her a bit of paper, the receipt or whatever it was. And she goes, sure, let me go and have a look for it. Or let me have a look for it. And I'm thinking at this point, she'll go off into a back room, there'll be a safe with all these ID permits in or whatever. Nah. Just below this window. So literally you could reach through with your arm and just grab them. There is a box. And that box is like an old, what do you call it? Like a Rolodex, right? Alphabetical order. Flicking through. I don't know why it sounds like a typewriter, but it does. So flicking through the Rolodex, and there's my name in this box of envelopes, whatever, under the T for Townend. She takes it out, goes, there you go, sir. I was like, what? That's it? Like literally, there you go, sir. Like I could have, if she wasn't there, I could have just reached through and grabbed a handful of them. Or they could have just called me to say it was ready. It's like, I don't know how long it's been sat in that box. For all I knew, it could have been sat there the day after. But anyway, it was sat in the box. So if you're waiting on your residency card and you're wondering where it's got to, then go through this hole in the wall there. Go to the residency, the aliens place. I think it's on like the second or third floor. Go and ask at this window, and they've probably got it in a box on the other side of that glass. So there we go. Right. I'm going to stop talking now, apart from, that's a lie. It's always a lie, isn't it? I was going to show you something just to show. I'm going to show you this. You're watching a video of me, and I'm now showing you a picture of me. Two reasons. One, this is December the 13th. Oh, don't want to zoom. That's not what I wanted to do. This is December the 13th. And I know this because that is when I picked up my card and we went down to, for those of you that know it from the meetups, that's Barracus Lounge before it was refurbished. We went down to there and we celebrated. So December, you can see I'm in a shirt and jumper. It was cold, but we still sat out and had a drink and everything else. So it took from December the 13th, well, from June till December the 13th, I got my card. That's the timescales for us. So there we go. Hopefully you found that useful. Now, before I come on to the live Q&A, I'm going to go over to this and I'm just going to say, look, when I moved to Cyprus, it was really showing what Cyprus was really like, and certainly wasn't showing this type of content in this much detail. So I keep trying to document it now for the rest of us. It's the channel I wished existed before we were moving to Cyprus, because there was lots of videos out there about tax and the beaches and what Cyprus looked like when we drive around, all that kind of stuff. And I used to love all of that content, but this was the stuff I wanted to see. So now I keep trying to bring it to the table for the rest of you. And then ask is, look, if you're finding it useful, give it a like. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. And if you think somebody else is going to get benefit from seeing this, and you think somebody else might want to know about immigration, then give it a share as well. Because, when I see questions in Facebook groups of people asking about immigration, I would like to try and help. It's really hard to try and help, but I don't see all of it. And when I do see them, like now I've recorded this video, I can't even point them at it because the group owners don't like self-promotion. So I guess what I'm asking for is, hey, help them by promoting me, and that's going to help them with some information. If you found it useful, if you think I'm talking out my arse, don't promote it. Don't do something that doesn't feel right. But if you're getting use out of it, you think somebody else might, hey, give it a share. And I'd be really appreciative. Right, I'm going to have a big drink and then I'm going to come over to the chat because the chat is got lots of comments tonight. So give me about 10 seconds and I will be with you in a second. Or 10 seconds. Okay. Alrighty, good evening. Let's have a look and let's see who we've got in the chat and what we've got on the go tonight. So, RC cosplay. Great topic, should be interesting. You sent me a message on, or you put a comment in the comments and I saw it pop up. I haven't had a chance to answer it yet, but I will for anybody, for not just you, but also anybody else that's commenting on videos. If you're waiting for me to reply or sending me Instagrams or whatever, TikToks, I'm getting quite a few coming through. So I'll reply when I can. I will keep trying to reply, keep trying to answer as many questions as I can outside of these sessions. But anyway, thanks very much for joining in and hopefully you find it interesting. So tell it should be. Hopefully it is. Railway History UK, evening Mark, evening Stephen. I think it's Stephen, I'm sure it's Stephen. How you doing? Thanks for joining. Got Karen, evening Mark, evening Karen, good to see you. Philip, good evening Mark. Asher, greetings from sunny Wales. Awesome, evening Philip. It is actually sunny there, isn't it? Because I know this to be true because the people I keep speaking to in the UK when I'm on conference calls, they are telling me that it's 30 degrees and everybody's complaining. And apparently, Amazon have sold out of fans and you can't get fans anywhere, which was quite ironic because today I was in Super Home Centre and you couldn't walk down one of the aisles because there were so many fans. Like literally, the UK don't do very well when the sun came out for a week and now there's a shortage of fans. So anyway. The air conditioning guys, I think, are going to have a good time next year because I think a lot of people are getting to the point where they want aircon. But I'm glad it's sunny in Wales anyway. Philip Shaw, hi Mark. Hi Philip, good to have you on. Ella Brown, hi Mark. Hi Ella, good to have you on. Mike Cummings, evening Mark. Evening Mike, evening Joanne, if you're there too. My username is Jeff. Evening Mark. Sharon and Jeff in sunny South Wales. Hey, do you live near Philip? Do you guys know each other? If not, you should do a South Wales meetup. Unless you live in North Wales, in which case don't. Or you could. It's up to you. Lee, evening Mark. Evening Lee, evening Lou, if you're there too. Thanks for joining. Chris, not Krish. For those of you that were listening in 2 weeks ago, Krish is Chris H. I kind of looked out on residency because of Brexit. All I had to do was prove I'd been here for 5 years. Happy days. I mean, yeah, I know somebody that missed it by, it was literally maybe a fortnight. They missed it by that. And now they're having to go through all the hassle that we just talked through tonight. Stephen, what is the difference between what you do at the end of your pink year 5 slip, can't read. What's the difference between what you do at the end of your year 5 pink slip and the MLT? Well, there isn't really different, or there will be a difference. You could just keep applying for pink slips. And from what I believe, I'm just going to pull this back up now. So yeah, on the pink slips, you can renew it annually. And don't think there's a cap on it. You just keep renewing it. Whereas if you go down the MLT one, it's because you've already been on the island for 5 years. And then you don't have to keep applying for the pink slips because it becomes permanent. So if I just flick back to this pink slip there. So let's do that on the MLT one. Let's just take the other one off. I'll just compare these for you. So pink slip is, where have we got to? Temporary residence. Yes, I know that. Just looking now. I'm going to update this. My summary page. Basically, this here, 1 year renewable annually, and that one is 5 year renewable, but it's permanent resident. So that one, once you've got it, you'll only have to renew it every 5 years. Whereas this one, pink slip, you'll have to renew it every year. That's the main difference. So it's a bit like people coming on a yellow slip. You don't have to apply for citizenship. You could just keep applying every 5 years instead of every year. Hopefully that answers the question. Philip, pink slip route. Do you need to deposit €10 into a Cypriot bank? It's a bit more than that. I think it's about 10 grand actually. And again, that's changed. Oh, press the wrong button. So there is a amount that you need to put in. I think it's about 10 grand, but again, I don't, it's about 10 grand. And the reason why I'm saying it's about, I'm very nervous about quoting figures all the time because it could change. Like you could be watching this video now live, or you could be watching it 6 months from now and the figures could change. I think it's around 10K you need in there, but then I seem to recall hearing like 30K as well. And I know when we were preparing for our pink slip, we were prepared to like, well, we've got to stick 30 grand in the bank. And that's where my head was at with it. What I would say is just speak to your immigration specialist if you've got one, or maybe just do a bit more digging. But it's definitely in the thousands. It's not definitely like €10. It's unless you meant 10,000, but yeah, be prepared to put quite a bit of money in the bank and sort of sit and hold it there, because fundamentally that's what they need you to do. Because if then you can't support yourself, they want to know that you've got some funds in the country to support yourself, I guess, up until the point they then would get rid of you. Joanna Tanner, anyone need a Polish wife? Ouch. Just wait till the 3 years though, yeah? 3 years, and then I can be on the Cypriot dating. You can do us, what is it? I forgot what it's called now. Anyway. Philip, me, but I have to ask my wife first. Ha, love it. Oh. Ella Brown, what income do you need for a visa F? Well, let's have a look, because I can't remember off the top of my head. Where are we? Oh, there we go. F. So 15 grand minimum baseline a year is what I've understood. So that's what I've put into the back end of this. I think it's about 15 grand a year. But again, that number could be different because, like I say, I've done research for this video, but that number likely will change every year. Like I say, the pink slip goalposts move every year. So depending on when you're watching this, that number could be different. But at this point, it's about 15 grand, give or take. So I think if you've got pensions, if you've got property income from rental properties, things like that, you're looking at about 15K, which is substantially better than coming in on a fast track where you then need like 50 grand a year, right? So, okie dokie. Sorry, I'm pausing because as I'm saying that, I'm going, actually, this is why, because I'm questioning myself now, this is why I don't offer residency type services like this, because I'm not an expert, right? I'm trying to help you guys now, but it's more with a view of going, go and seek professional advice. I've given you a lot of information. You now know that you can ask a whole bunch of different questions. Go and ask those questions, but do it with somebody that actually does this for a living. I'm just doing this for fun on a Sunday night because that's how I roll. Somebody will criticize me later and, oh, he's wrong. I will be wrong. I'll be wrong about something. But the point is, you're aware of it. The awareness allows you to ask questions from the professionals, and you'll get further. Alex, AMR, thanks for joining. Hey, Mark, how confident are you that you can carry out overseas work on Pink Slip? Have you taken legal advice on that point? So, have I taken legal advice on the point? No, but you've got to have an income from overseas. So, if you're getting dividends from another country, you've got to have an income somewhere. And so, if you're working for a limited company, then how else can you earn an income? If you've got to have an income, you can only work from overseas, right? From what I understand, and it's a good question, Alex, and for those of you looking to do this, you should probably get this checked out. From what I understand, because economically you're not allowed to work for a Cypriot company, so like I say, you can't go and work in a bar or a restaurant or whatever. You can't do anything like that. But if you've got a UK company, there's nothing stopping you sitting here and just working for your UK company or working for UK clients. As long as you've got a UK company to invoice through, because I have a UK company that then invoices my UK clients. And so technically I get dividends from that company, right? But I'm just performing the services here, but fundamentally it's my UK company. My income is coming from overseas, if that makes sense. But it's a good question, and yeah, definitely something you should check out. Like I say, I'm not here to give legal advice or immigration advice. I'm kind of opening your eyes to the art of the possible and telling you. I know it might come across as fact sometimes. I'm telling you what I've researched, but thing is, information can be wrong. Always get legal advice or on this sort of thing. Make sure that you've done your own due diligence. Don't just listen to a guy on YouTube, because I will give you the best information I can. I've no agenda with this. I'm not trying to sell you my services off the back of it. I'm just trying to help. But as a result of that, like I say, I am not the professional guy doing this. I'm just a guy that's trying to help you out. So go and do your own due diligence. But what I'm trying to say here, do your own due diligence, but be aware of the questions that you can ask, should be asking, might be asking. Things like this is perfect. So, Alex, you're dead right. Have I checked it legally? No. What I have checked is what I found online, and also joining the dots up, going, well, if you have to have an income from abroad and you've got a company that's earning money and you're then earning dividends from that company, you have to be able to earn money from abroad. So that's kind of where I've got it from. Hopefully that answers the question. Don't know. Chris, as my mate who got crashed into by a guy on a scooter found out, apparently if you get a visa for being a random guy from Pakistan delivering food as well and not even have proper insurance. Okay, let me just reread that. As my mate who got crashed into by a guy on a scooter found out, apparently if you can get a visa for being a random guy from Pakistan delivering food as well and not even have proper insurance. Interesting. Okay. I'm trying to work that out, because I think basically what you're saying is somebody that's going to sound horrible now. Somebody that's potentially low skilled has come in from outside of the EU and they seem to have a visa, but it depends, because they might have been sponsored by somebody here. So, like I was saying, they could have come in on a work visa, and if they're on like Walt or somebody, maybe they're getting sponsored by Walt to come and drive. So, people can absolutely come here on visas and stuff like that. But anyway, maybe that's what it was. Don't know. Ella Brown, great dashboards. Good idea to launch a relocation service. I don't know, Ella. I mean, the thing is, there's lots of people doing it, and there's lots of people better at it than I am. So, I kind of stick to the things I know. I'm just making a YouTube channel talking about life in Cyprus. And this is part of life in Cyprus. If you want to move here, you need to figure this stuff out. And do I want to set up a relocation service? I don't know. I mean, there's lots of people doing it. That's the thing. There's lots of people doing it, and don't know. If I was going to do it, I would do it in a totally different way to what everybody else is doing. A lot of people are tackling the high end of the market where you charge like, a grand, 2 grand, whatever, we'll do the whole package, almost like a turnkey service. That's great. I have considered doing some sort of concierge service where actually go super high end and just literally make it turnkey for people with schools, with houses, with everything. But then I'm looking at the flip side and going, well, actually, there's a lot of people that want to self-serve. How can you do that for them as cheaply as possible so that they're not having to pay the thousands of euros to all these guys on the island? Don't know. I'm thinking stuff through. Like I said, I don't really have. Well, I don't have an idea at the minute. I'm just mothballing ideas. But the thing is, this isn't my bread and butter. Like I say, I started this channel as a creative outlet. I wasn't intending to make money from this channel or people on the channel or anything like that. I make my money in IT. I make my money in property. I do it away from this. This is just fun for me, right? Might not look like it, listening in, me talking through it. Actually, when you look at this, it's quite mundane stuff, really, but I enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with you guys. So I never really thought to myself, oh, I'm going to monetize this one day, or I'm going to turn it into a service. Who knows? I might do, because people keep asking for things, and I'm just going to listen to what people are asking for. And then, hey, if enough people have asked for something, maybe a year from now, I'll give you guys whatever you're asking for. I don't know, but we'll see. Right now, I'm happy just having fun, happy just helping where I can. And at the end of the day, this is just my view of the world, and it's based on things that I've done, based on research, based on my experiences. There's plenty of people out there that you should also watch. I've talked about them before, but the people who are YouTube channels, go and watch those as well, because they've got a different view of the world, got a different lens on things. So yeah, we'll see. But will I launch a relocation service? I doubt it. To be honest. It's not something I can think I'd want to do at the moment. There's lots of things I do want to do. That isn't high on my agenda of things I'd like to do. But hey, I'll take it as a compliment. Karen, Mark, can I just confirm that an EU spouse does not need a police check? And did you need your marriage certificate apostilled? Karen, so I might have already answered that coming through. So I think the video might have answered that for you now, or at least the content that I did. But let me answer it again. So can I confirm that I didn't need a police check? I can't confirm that for two reasons. My research tells me you don't need a police check, like now. But I did do a police check because I thought I was coming on the pink slip route. So everything I'm reading tells me you don't need a police check if you're coming through from the EU. I did it. I submitted it because I thought I needed to. Maybe it just went straight in the bin. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that you don't need to do the police check because that's the whole point of the EU. It's free movement of people, free movement of work and everything else. It is designed exactly for that. So they're not going to stop you going and living in another country because you've got a criminal record, let's say. I don't believe, because it's EU, it's free movement of people. I don't think like Germany or France or anywhere like that could stop you coming in because it's that free movement of people. That was the point of Brexit, was that people were getting one of many points of Brexit was that people didn't want everybody coming across from the pond. I mean, it hasn't changed anything, so I'm not getting into a Brexit conversation tonight, but people were trying to lock down the borders in the UK to stop people just being able to come in. And now it's exactly like with Cyprus. It's almost like, well, actually, what value are you going to bring to the company? To the country? Are you going to bring value? Are you going to be a drain on the country? So my understanding is that you don't need a police check, but I can't say 100% hand on heart because I did do one. So sorry, Karen, I don't know if that helps or not, but that's where I got to with it. As for it being apostilled, no, 100%. It does need to be apostilled if it isn't translated. Ours was translated and therefore didn't need to be apostilled because they'd already got everything they needed. But yeah, if yours is just in English, if you got married in the UK and it's just in English, then you don't need to worry about it. Sorry, you do need to worry about it because they'll need it apostilled and translating and all of that. You'd have to get official translations and stuff. So I'm sitting there thinking, do I say it? Do I not say it? Yeah, I'll say it. Because you've asked about the police check, I'm like, what did you do? What did you do, Karen? What aren't you telling us? I'm joking. Martin, good evening, Mark. Good evening, Martin. Good evening, Sandra, if you're watching as well. Great info, very interesting. As we are now in this process, we have discovered something which is causing a potential delay in our application. We got married in Las Vegas. Interesting. So why is that causing a delay? Are they thinking it was like you all got drunk one night and it was a sham wedding, or are they thinking something else? Like, I've got The Hangover in my head now, the movie The Hangover. But anyway, sorry. Right. Why is that causing a delay? Because is it just because you've got to get something from American authorities, or you've got to get that translated, or don't know. I'm actually interested because other people might be in that situation. Asha, Martin, how cool. It is cool. Martin, we have now been asked for the Apostle Marriage Certificate, which is not done automatically. So we need to get one from the Nevada Secretary of State. Worth noting. Wow. That's a ball ache, isn't it? Okay. And is there not an American embassy you can do something with here, just out of interest? Because I know you're here on the island now. Can you not go and do something at an American embassy? Don't know if that would work or not. Jonathan Ramsey. Hey, Mark. Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for joining. Great info and comparison on the different relocation options. I've got an Irish passport and married to a Cypriot, so all good there. You're like ticking all the boxes. You could come in whichever way suits your fancy by the looks of it. But anyway, that's cool. Out of interest, where do you live? Because if you've got an Irish passport and you've got a Cypriot spouse and you're watching this channel, I'm going to guess you live in Ireland, would be my guess. Maybe you live in England, don't know. I'm going to guess Ireland. Chris, there's lots of very decent, well-priced specialist healthcare places here if you know where to look. Yeah, I mean, I haven't. So my guy put me in touch with who we needed to. He got me signed up with my GP, did all of that stuff for us. So that was really good. And I didn't end up looking into private healthcare other than what I needed for immigration, which he sorted out as well. So that also ended up being quite good. Stefan, hey Mark, we are now here house hunting. Love Upatala and Camaros is so green and slightly cooler. Any local tips? Well, that's a broad question, isn't it? I mean, I've got lots of local tips, but where to start? I mean, I can give you some nuggets. So Camaros is Camaros is lovely. It's more expensive than Tala. You'll find the average age of people in Camaros is probably higher than Tala because a lot of people retire up there. You will find that it's very hilly. If you're renting or buying a property out there because of the hills, you get less land with your property, you get less space to park. And if you are not very mobile, you're going to hate the hills. So you'll be driving everywhere. In fact, you'll probably be driving everywhere anyway because of the hills. And plus, there's not a lot going on in Camaros or Tala. I mean, there are stuff, there are things, but fundamentally, if you're going to drive to a supermarket, you're going to drive over to Paya or you're going to drive to Paphos or like Kissonegra, Emba, those sorts of places, and you'll go to a supermarket. And then if you're living in one of those places and you're on the hill, you're going to pull up in your car. You'll probably have to carry your shopping up a load of steps, up and down, and everything else. As long as you're mobile, you're good. The views are amazing. Camaros views, even views in Tala. If you get to Upper Tala, Lower Tala is a bit rubbish. Like even where I am now, it's okay. You can see the sea, but there's nothing to write home about. You know, I mean, all right, it's nicer than the UK, but Upper Tala, Camaros, really, really nice. Really like those. So yeah, I mean, if I was gonna buy in either of those, it would definitely be Upper Tala rather than Lower Tala. And Camaros is okay. People that I found in Camaros, I'm going to be a little bit careful what I say now because I know that some people in this chat, I won't say who, but some people in this chat that have just bought in Camaros. But I bumped into a lady in Camaros once while I was doing my trial living back in 2022, and I was walking around. I'd gone for a walk about 6 in the morning because in the peak of summer, it's about the only time you can go out without absolutely sweating. And so I was going for a walk, and there was this lady walking a dog, and kind of bumped into her, said hello, had a chat, and she asked me where I was from. And I said, England. I said, we're just out here trying life and, we're looking to move out here. I said, really like Tala. And she was gone from change. She changed from being really friendly. And she was like, this isn't Tala. This is Camaros. I was like, no, I know. But, it's like, Camaros, Tala, we live in, we're going to probably look at Tala. Yeah, but this isn't Tala. This is Camaros. Okay. I've clearly hit a nerve. The people in Camaros like to tell you they're from Camaros and not from Tala. I think Tala is deemed slightly lower class, maybe because it's further down the hill. I don't know. I mean, it's not. There's loads of nice houses here in Tala. I like both. Out of the two, I think I prefer Tala than Camaros, not because there's anything inherently wrong with Camaros. It's just that you're probably, depending on where you are in Camaros, you're 10 minutes closer, 5-10 minutes closer to things in Tala, like my son's school and Sapaya and places where we do things. And also, we've got more opportunity to walk to places here. So like I can walk to the village centre and I can walk to the bars and the restaurants if I wanted to. That said, the other thing that you will get access to if you go into Camaros as opposed to Tala, it's a Leptos village. So that means you get access to things like their clubhouse. There's a clubhouse where you can go and you can have Sunday dinners there. They do Christmas parties there. They've got like this whole pool area and stuff like that. Very, very nice, very cool. And you've got a medical facility there. There's a like a pharmacy, like a I think it's a hospital or not. In fact, let me check. 1 second. Somebody from Camaros can tell me, but it basically, let me just go bring this across. So, right, there you go, medical center. So you've got this, which I don't know how good it is, but you've got a medical center there, which is, there's your medical team. Well, you don't get this, we don't access it from Tala. And also you've got this Camaros Club, which again is like a clubhouse, and you can go there. And I think everybody gets access to this. If you live in the Leptos village, you can just go and you can just chill out here. You can sit around again. The views are really nice, and you can just go and chill out there. So yeah, really nice. Like I say, I like Camaros. I like it a lot. I like Tala. I like it a lot. So you wouldn't do wrong going to either of those, to be honest. Is that enough tips? Don't know. I feel like I could just talk and talk and talk. But if you've got anything specific you want to know, ask away. Phil, Mark's consultation would be great. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Mark's consultation would be great. Don't know. Not sure what that is, Philip. Apologies. Alex, RE GESY. So if you're on a pink slip and a tax resident, then you pay GESY contribution and have access to the healthcare system. No, because you're only on temporary. You're only on temporary, Alex, and that's the challenge. So basically, if I just come back to this, that one. So look at the table. On a pink slip permit, you're only ever temporary. But if you go fast track, it's permanent. In fact, let me just search by GESY here. So if you look at GESY, it's all permanent unless you're employed by somebody, right? So that allows you to come in. Or these, if you've got your own business and you're a startup and you fall into this category, this is where now it becomes very specialist. If you think you can set up a business here, you can become a startup, you might be able to access it by doing something strategic with a company. Again, you're going to want to speak to somebody on this, somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. But fundamentally, for the most part, it is permanent. If you are here permanently and then you start paying tax here, then you can pretty much register for GESY. There are some edge cases. And so I would look into these because I know we've talked about business, Alex, when we met up, and I know there's some things that potentially on your agenda. I don't know if you would fall into this. Probably, this is going to sound horrible now, probably not into this one because although it says highly specialized, highly skilled specialist, I'm not saying you're not skilled, but you've got to be skilled in a field that is deemed in demand. So like I say, the people I know that have come through, they're coders and, they're people in tech that are very specialist with, very technical knowledge. You might be able to do something like this and you might be able to, start something, but then because it's innovative tech, maybe with what you were talking about, and I won't say too much on here because it's not everybody else's business, but with the thing that you do in the UK, if you do that here, it might be considered innovative tech because Cyprus is behind the times with a lot of things. So if you were to just literally do the same thing here, you might actually qualify for this. But again, speak to somebody that knows what they're talking about, Alex, would be my advice there. But it's an option. It's a question to ask, isn't it? Chris, I remember the early days of Cyprus when you could either follow all the rules or just pay money. Oh, wait a minute. Where's it gone? Oh, my chat's jumped. Hold on a minute. Here we go. I remember the early days of Cyprus when you could either follow all the rules or just pay money. I got proof of address from CETA for 100 Cyprus pounds. Wow. Okay. But if you've seen my banking video, CETA proof of address only works for the Bank of Cyprus if it's for the internet. If it's for a mobile, they won't accept it. Just something to bear in mind. Interesting that you're saying that though, because I heard a story recently from somebody that I know and trust, and they were changing their UK license over to a Cypriot license and basically got asked which boxes they wanted ticking on the license. Like, what do you mean? Irrespective of what was on the UK license, they were literally asked, well, we'll tick them all the way up to 7.5 tons. So if you want all these other ones, you can just tick them like your trailer license and whatever. Like, okay. Whether there was a brown envelope that needed to be involved for them to tick those, I don't know. I don't because they didn't do it. But anyway, it was an offer. So I think definitely it's still a case of brown envelopes and a bit of money inside will still get you some things. Maybe not quite what you're remembering, Chris, but Philip, I was married in Cyprus 2007. Would it still need to be apostilled when applying for a pink slip or category F? I guess the question, Philip, is it in Greek? Because if it's in Greek or if it's got a Greek translation on there, you're probably okay, would be my guess. But again, it might have been something to do with Brexit, but then no, because you live here, right? No, you don't. No, of course you don't. You live in South Wales. So it's a good question. I don't know. My guess is if it's in Greek and it's on there, then you'd be okay. And if it was issued by the Cypriot authorities as opposed to like the British authorities, then you're probably okay. But it's a question to ask, isn't it? You know, when you're going through that process, ask the question, show what you've got. Just be prepared that you might need to, but you probably won't, would be my guess on that one. Uh, Chris, on the Sega note, I always joke that the best thing about Cyprus is nobody cares, and the worst thing about Cyprus is nobody cares. Yeah, I love that. It's very true, actually, because the thing is, people that get frustrated. I mean, I'm an impatient guy. You know, for those of you that know me, you'll realize that I do get impatient quite quickly, but I'm incredibly patient when it comes to people. But when it comes to inanimate objects or traffic or stupidity, I become very impatient very quickly, you know. And so I like Cyprus because it is more relaxed. And I think those of you that are coming here, you just have to deal with it. You know, lean into it. Lean into the fact that people are just going to go about their day and be a bit slower, or they're just going to be parking, you know, diagonally between a space, or they're not going to quite fit in the space, or you know, just life is slower out here. But that's why a lot of us come out, because you can have that slow pace of life when you want it, or you can jump onto a Zoom call and you can be as fast as you want, you know. And that's the thing. It's nice to be fast paced in the day, and then you can kick back, turn the computer off. And evenings, it's just lovely. You go about your day. Nobody's rushed. Nobody seems to be stressed. You know, it's nice. So, Karen, Mark, what is the wait time for an immigration appointment from when you start your application? Well, I'm hoping, Karen, that the timeline that I did went through that. Basically, and I'm just going to pull it back up again now. Oh, no, keep zooming in. There we go. I'm looking, so I'm trying to give you a factual question rather than just saying it took me 6 months. It's not quite that bad, is it? Because when you think about it, our first appointment, so we'd submitted all the documents in July. We got an appointment for about 6 weeks later. It got cancelled on the day. And then we had another appointment for September the 15th. And then that one got cancelled. I haven't got the date for that written down here, but then that one got cancelled. And we'd got another one in October. Yeah, like there you go. So then just looking, that one there, no, there. So November, that's right, November there. So September, October. So basically, I would say between 6 and 8 weeks looking at this, but obviously between September and November, so somewhere in October, we'd cancelled one as well. And I would say between 6 and 8 weeks would be my thing. But the thing is, if you're here, let's say you're here for 90 days, make sure you've got your appointment booked. Even if it's 6 months in advance, it doesn't matter. You have to have the appointment booked, though, before the end of your 90 days. Otherwise, that's when you start getting in the poo-poo, because you've extended or you've outstayed your 90-day period. Even if you're an EU citizen, you still have to do it within the 90 days and start that process. Otherwise, what you may find is when you leave the country, you may have an issue leaving the country, but you'll more than likely have an issue trying to get back in. So let's say you left for travel during that time or for business, and then you tried to get back in. If you had outstayed your 90-day welcome, they might not let you back in at all, because you've then breached immigration and everything else. Now all of a sudden, you are on their naughty list. So as long as you've got as long as you've got the date of an appointment before your 90 days runs out and you've started that application process, it can then keep being kicked down the road and it's fine. It's like with the cars, when you've got customs needing to sort your car out, you end up with like a temporary, like a road permit, and that lasts, blimey, maybe like every 6 or 8 weeks. I think that lasted as well. And they kept renewing it for me. They kept renewing it for nearly a year, and they would ring me up to renew it. And they just give me a bit of paper with a renewal on. And if the police pulled me over, I just showed them this bit of paper, and they were like, okay, cool. It's not an illegal import. Had I not got that bit of paper, that's it. Car would be impounded, probably crushed. Just one of those things. Chris, Larnaca Aliens and Immigration is basically like the Star Wars bar. Love it. Oh, I've lost it again. Lots of people are chatting and it's bumping my chat and it's moving it. I can't see what I'm reading now. There we go. Right. Basically like the Star Wars bar. Do they play the music when you walk in, or do you just whistle it? That'd be funny. You should walk in there and just whistle it. Christian McCabe. Thanks for joining, Christian. That's not a name I recognize. Thanks for joining. I have an Irish passport. Can I just come over to Cyprus and start a company? I mean, pretty much, yeah. You're an EU citizen. So you can just come over, apply for your residency within 90 days, and you just carry on as you are. Yeah, you can start a company. You can do all of that good stuff. You can start a company on a pink slip. You don't need to be, an Irish citizen or an EU citizen, but there's less rules for you because you're coming over on an EU passport. It makes your life really easy. You've got the right to live and work anywhere across Europe, including Cyprus. So yeah, you're good. I want to come over to stay in a couple of years. We have 3 children that have Irish passports. My partner only has an English passport. She is the mother of the children. Well, I reckon you guys will be in the same situation as me. I think she would come in on the EU spousal visa, like I am, and she'll just piggyback in off the back of your EU passport, exactly like I did with Poland. You more than likely won't have a problem there. Alex, we just got our pink slip in July 26. We needed 10 grand in a Cypriot bank to cover myself and my wife. A couple applying independently need 10 grand each. Interesting. Thanks, Alex. That is really useful. So, yeah, I got it in my head. It was 30 at one point, but hey, if it's 10, that's even better, right? So there you go. For anybody that was wondering, thanks, Alex, for that. 10 grand for a couple or 10 grand each if you're applying separately. That would be actually, if you are coming, so just to touch upon that, and it's a good point, Alex. If you're coming here as boyfriend and girlfriend, or boyfriend and boyfriend, or girlfriend and girlfriend, and you are not married and you're not in a civil partnership or a marriage or anything like that, then you will be classed as 2 separate applicants from a family household point of view. So yeah, you might live together in the UK, but out here, I believe you're treated as 2 separate people. So if one of you is an EU citizen and the other one's just a UK citizen and you're not married in any way, you can't then do some of the stuff we just talked about tonight with EU spousal visas and stuff. Philip, Alex, thanks for that info. 10K was what I meant in my earlier question. Oh, cool. Well, there you go. I should just read down the comments. It's like I should just start at the end and come back up, and you'll have all answered each other's questions, and I will be redundant. Martin, US Embassy cannot affix apostles. It has to be the Secretary of State for the state you got married in. Now waiting for new original marriage certificate to come from the US and then send back for stamp. Bloody hell. All right. Well, the good news is at least you know now and you started the process. And this is the thing. For anybody doing this, like I say, there's always going to be edge cases. There's always going to be something. Everybody's circumstances are different, which is why I will give you information tonight and I will tell you stuff. And then that's going to hopefully enable you to go away and ask more questions. But I'm not here giving advice because your situation will be unique. In the same way Martin's is unique. I wasn't expecting to read this tonight. And so if you move to Cyprus, don't wait until like day 80 or day 90, just start. If you know you're going to be living here for the long term, just start. And although technically you're fine as long as you've got the appointment by the time you arrive, and so within the 90 days, just start. Don't take the chance. Don't leave it till the last minute. You're playing with your life here. If you want to move here, you're literally playing with your life. So just get it done as soon as possible, and then you'll know where you stand with things. Jonathan, living in the UK. Oh, man. I had 3 guesses and I picked the wrong one. Well, cool. Whereabouts in the UK you living, Jonathan? It's getting very personal now, isn't it? I'm not going to hunt you down, I promise. Christian, I have a construction company in the UK and would like to carry on with this when settled in Cyprus. I have income from several properties that I own in England, so have an income. Okay. What's the question, Christian? I'm not sure what the question is, or is it just a statement? Because as I'm reading that, I'm assuming you've got people working for you in the UK, and when you're saying you want to carry on, it's very hard to do construction remotely. You're going to be flying back and forth, or you've got a team of people working for you there. But yeah, I'm not sure what your question is. Karen, I haven't done anything wrong. It's all right. You're safe. You're amongst friends. Haven't done anything wrong. I was under the impression that as I'm hoping to come over on a yellow slip, Therefore, hubby wouldn't need a police check. Hang on a minute. I'm clearly having a moment. I haven't done anything. I was under the impression that as I'm hoping to come over on a yellow slip, therefore hubby wouldn't need a police check. Oh, I see. So, right. If he's coming through on a spousal visa like I did, then probably not. Like I say, I didn't need mine in the end, I don't think. I mean, I submitted it. Basically everything I got, I submitted it. I felt like I'd paid for it, so I sent it over anyway. I had nothing to hide. I'm not a criminal. So I sent that across anyway. But yeah, you'd probably be fine. But again, just your circumstances might. Are they different? I'm trying to think if they're different. I mean, it sounds very similar to me. You'll probably be all right. But again, this is one of those questions where it's definitely worth checking with an expert before you leave the UK. Because if you arrive in Cyprus and you go, that's cool, I've arrived, I've got 90 days now to apply. If you then do need a police check, well, then you've got to fly back to England to get a police check done, probably. I can't remember if you can do them online or not, but bottom line is just get all of that stuff done when you're in the country and then move out here and get it done. So do the checks of exactly what you need for your circumstances before leaving. And then when you're doing that, just bring it with you if you've got it, because it's going to make it easier rather than faffing about sending post and everything else. For those of you that are interested in what the postal service is like out here, I did a video on post probably about 6 months ago now. Spoiler alert, it's rubbish. The video is great. Damn it. The video's okay. I'm bigging myself up now, but the postal system out here is really weird. So watch the video if you're interested, but it's a very strange postal system. And I'm now in my second house and people don't know where I live. And when I say people, if you put my address in Google, it comes up about 20 minutes away in Paphos somewhere. Just even Google doesn't know where I live. It's just like, So yes, then when you get delivery companies trying to send you stuff, you end up sending a pin on a map, and then you can select where you want something to be delivered to, and then it may or may not go there because life's a lottery, and it'll probably end up in your local post office, but then you don't know which one because it should be the one where you live, but then I've had stuff go to the other post office. Just bring it with you. That would be my recommendation. Get it done before you leave the UK. Don't rely on post. Post to faff. And Martin's probably sitting there now going, oh God, I've got to get it shipped from America to my house. And right. It's jumped again. US Embassy, no. Done that one, live in the UK. Blimey, I haven't done anything right. Sorry, that's badly written. I intend closing the UK company and setting up in Cyprus. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. So what do you construct, Christian? I'm assuming houses or buildings of some sort. That's what I'm assuming. It's not going to be Lego, is it? I mean, maybe you got a Lego company. No, that's cool. Right. We should have a chat offline. Not because I'm trying to pimp you out or anything like that. It's the opposite way around. You can be a construction company out here, but you need certain things in place because we're also looking to be a construction company out here. We are, and I won't bang on about this too much tonight, but we're developing a load of villas now down in Sea Caves. In fact, had some collateral printed just recently. I'm quite happy with that. Check this out. Sorry. There we go. Oh. Anyway, that's what we're building. But we are building some stuff out here. We're classed as a developer, but basically, if you want to be the main contractor, if you want to build, there are lots of little rules in place that you need to get your head around. So yes, if you want to have a chat offline, I'm quite happy to tell you what I know. Again, it's not advice as such. It's just I can tell you what I know based on what we're going through. And in fact, if anybody's interested, like I said, I'm going to be sharing some of the journey anyway. If people are interested in kind of doing that, then I can talk to you about it, or I can do a video on it maybe one day. But yeah, there's certain things that you need in place, and there's certain things you need to have boxes ticked for. And what I will say is, your UK experience doesn't matter how many things you built in the UK, it doesn't tick the boxes for you over here in Cyprus. Just bear that in mind. Philip, Karen, would an ex would it? All right. This is, oh man, this is Karen. Would an ex red cap need a police check? Yeah, you guys are all ex-military, right? So, Alex, we applied for our immigration appointment March 26th, and the appointment came through end of June. On that one, Alex, when did you find out about it coming through end of June? Was it like you applied in March and you found out like, April that it's in June, or is it end of June you got the date? Just interested. Lee, 3 months I'm told, and that's what the date for immigration appointment. 3 months I'm told, and that's the date for immigration appointment we have. Yeah, cool. Well, like I say, mine was well, as you saw tonight, like between 6 and 8 weeks. So maybe it's going a little bit slower because more people are coming. Um, sorry guys, 1 second. Alex, only took a week to get the appointment date from the time of application. Wow, either the chat's working really fast tonight, or you're preempting my questions. You're reading back the statement you've written, and you're preempting the thing I'm going to ask you. Otherwise, the chat's working really well. Chris, I do love this country. You can go at 2 a.m. into Zorbus and get some Cooper. Coopers. Oh, what's a Coopers? Is that? I think I need to check this now, because if this is what I think it is, they're awesome. Let me just check though. We can. Let's do this. Let's make it interactive. Coopes. What's a Coopes? I can just spell it. Is this what I think it is? Koupes. How am I pronouncing that? It's clearly not going to be Coopes, is it? Yes, these are awesome. There you go. Look at that. For anybody that didn't know, I didn't know it was going to be a beloved Cypriot street food, but they are great. First time I had these at Acton Speedway, me and my son had them because I had these in the racetrack, and they're basically like filled with meat, and they're just really good. Like you say, you can get them. Interestingly, so for those of you that don't know and are new to this, we talked about this last week, but Zorbus, just like Papantonio is a bakery, but Zorbus is island wide. Papantonio seems to be only Paphos. I learned that myself last week, and for some reason, bakeries are open like 24/7. You don't get like a 24-hour Tesco. There's no 24-hour Ascas like Philippos, Papantonio, or now Skavlenitis, Alpha Mega. None of them are open 24 hours. McDonald's isn't open 24 hours. But the bakeries, you can get a croissant at 2 a.m. Why? I do not know. But anyway, you can. Lee, off topic, but being offered 10,000 off pocket, but off topic, but being offered 10,000 you've parked like an idiot stickers. Think, thinking I could clean up selling them over here. Thoughts? I don't think you've got enough. I mean, 10,000, you're going to run out. That's nuts. No, I mean, the thing is, Lee, I mean, parking's quite funny. I know you're joking, but the thing is, like parking out here, I really like parking in Cyprus because I think I've told you guys this before, but like I can't show you because I'm using the phone, but there's a parking app and parking is cheap. So I'll always just pay for parking. I know a lot of people won't even bother to pay for parking, but it's so cheap. I feel like I'm just going to pay for it. It's like, well, you can park for several hours and it'll cost you like €1 or two, it's just ridiculous. A lot of places you don't even need to pay to park. You can just park pretty much anywhere. And I've never been able to go through a capital like Nicosia or wherever. And you can just park like on the streets, like down the side streets and stuff. Like you imagine doing that in London. You drive through London, there's cameras everywhere. There's red light cameras, bus lane cameras, freaking yellow box cameras, speed cameras, just like so many cameras. Like you do anything wrong, you breathe incorrectly in London and something's there ready to extract cash from you. But out here, it's just so chilled and so laid back. So I don't mind paying for parking when it happens. But because it's so laid back and there's so many areas you can park, like people just, you kind of, it's in the zone. It's sort of like it's near the parking space, doesn't have to be in it. It can just be near it, and that's fine. It can be near the curb, doesn't have to be on it. That's all right. It's good enough. They tried. We tried. But you do start to lean into that. And you just go, oh, sweet, I can park here. And you just go, oh, that's fine, I'll just park it here. Nobody's going to care. And so, like, we went to an escape room yesterday, and it was literally off Tomb of the Kings. So we went to the escape room there. And down Tomb of the Kings is a little bit trickier to park because it's like, tourist central. But as we're walking along, driving, we turn down this road and there's just an area, just like this big patch of gravel, like in the middle of Paphos, a big patch of gravel. There's a couple of cars there. Like, I'll just park there then. You just park. It's great. So actually, on the parking front, Give me 1 second. I need a break. I am going to stick my like and share screen. I need a drink. 1 second. While this is up, if you are finding this useful in any way, shape, or form, please give it a like. And if you think somebody else will find it useful, give it a share as well. And on Facebook, if you guys some questions, you think any of my videos can answer, share it with them. Because I am just trying to document life as it is in Cyprus and from my own experiences, and basically trying to build the channel that I wish existed before we came out of Cyprus. So I'm just trying to document things now for the rest of us. Anyway, have a drink. I need to cut to that, but let's go back to this and let's see what we've got. So yeah, I was saying about parking actually, wasn't I? So on the parking front, I got fined in Larnaca for parking outside a hotel. The hotel said, "Oh, you can park outside the hotel." It's like it comes with parking. Does it? Yeah, we own these spaces outside the front of the hotel. I'm like, really? Because that's not what the sign says. The sign says, you have to pay and display. No. It's all ours. It's all ours. Anyway, park there for the weekend, get a ticket. Anyway, so I got a ticket. Went home, paid it on the JCC app, and I think it cost me like €7 for the fine. It was cheaper than parking almost, It was like it's cheaper to pay the fine than it was to pay for the parking for the weekend. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Like the parking is cheap, to be fair. The parking's cheap. The fines seem to be cheap. It is what it is. But yes. Karen, very funny, Philip. Guessing that's about the police checks. Asha, we've got 3 copies of police checks and they were never needed for anything. No. We didn't send it anywhere. I thought we did. I thought we sent it all to Kipros and then maybe he didn't send it anywhere. I thought literally we sent everything that we had. Alex, retracted message. He's probably like, Mark, you're an idiot. Ash has showed you up. She's told you you're wrong. 3 years. 3 years and divorce can happen. I can stay here forever. Philip, thanks, Cliffy. Just military banter. I knew you would understand. Cool. When you guys come out, if you meet at a Cyprus Unfiltered meetup, it's going to be quite entertaining to just sit and watch, I think. I'm going to get a drink. I'm going to get some popcorn and just watch you guys. That sounds weird, doesn't it? Chris, Lee Clark, don't know, their complete disregard for rules is kind of part of their charm. I've learned to just embrace the chaos. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Lee, you'll lean into it. You'll lean into it at some point, I'm sure. It is nice. I'll tell you what I do like, actually. You don't so much notice it when you're living here, like with all the charm and everything else and the rules or lack of rules, things like that. You notice it when you go back to the UK, because all of a sudden everything feels controlled. It feels regimented. It feels like you are governed by rules. It feels like a nanny state or like a police state by comparison. Like, now don't get me wrong. I'm sure that if you step out of line here and you do stuff that's like blatantly illegal, I'm sure that, we'll see a different side of Cyprus. But as a normal kind of everyday citizen, just going about their life, trying to earn a living, trying to raise a family, when you go back to the UK, that's when you realize how chilled it is in Cyprus. Like you kind of, when you're out here, you just kind of lean into it a little bit, but it's when you go back and you're like, holy crap. Like, I think I said this recently, because we've been to the UK for my son's birthday. We had gone around London and everything else, and I made him wear his AirTag, stuff like that, just because he doesn't get to run around like he was, or he didn't leave our side in London. Whereas here, I mean, for those of you that have been out with us and all the rest of it, like he'll just go running off, and quite often we don't know where he's gone. We know he's around somewhere, and we know he's going to be fine. And anyway, we're coming back from the trip in the UK, and I was asking him, so what did you like about the UK? What did you miss? And he's talking about like the Ninja Warriors and things like that. Things that would work an absolute storm here in Cyprus. And I would love to set something up here specifically for kids. I think it'd be great. You could absolutely make a killing on it all. But anyway, we were talking about what he liked, and then said, okay, cool. What don't you like? What did you miss from Cyprus? Let's say, like looking at it from the other side. And he thought about it, and without prompting, the first thing he kind of came back with was, he goes, I miss how much freedom I have in Cyprus. I was like, oh, really? What do you mean? And he's like, well, you and mummy let me do loads of like cool stuff in Cyprus, and I get to just run around and, be free. but in England, you wouldn't let us do that. Well, okay, cool. Well, he's aware of it, which is nice. So it's the contrast. It's a bit like the frog analogy, isn't it? Like you boil a frog in water, you put him into warm water and heat it up, and you don't really notice any difference, and he just cooks himself. But you chuck him into hot water, and that's it, it jumps straight back out. And it's kind of the same thing. You get in Cyprus, and you just start relaxing into the way of life. It took us probably 6 months to stop monitoring everything that Jacob was doing, right? To stop keeping an eye on him like a hawk. And you start to lead into that way of life. And it's like, oh, actually, you know what? But you don't really realize it's happened. You don't realize it's happened. You're just kind of doing it. And then you go back to the UK and you're like, oh yeah, no, we can't do that anymore. Like all of a sudden, like as an example, I would be walking around in the UK sometimes and I'd be nervous to be walking around on my phone. Like we were walking around London and it was like, right, I needed directions somewhere, take it out, check it, put it in my pocket. That's it. It goes back in my pocket. But in Cyprus, if I'm looking for something, just walk around, just on my phone. I'm not worried about somebody nicking my phone. I'm not going to get mugged. All right, I'm sure there's somebody in Cyprus that has been mugged. I'm sure it's happened. But the probability of it happening versus the probability of being mugged in, say, London, you only notice it when you go back, and you notice the control when you go back, and you see everybody in high-vis jackets when you go back, and then you just feel so restricted when you go back. And it was actually, I joked about this yesterday in the escape room, because we were in the escape room. I've done several escape rooms now in Poland. We've done some here on the island in Limassol. Done them in the UK as well. But the one yesterday, we did it down to Tomb of the Kings, and it was good. It was nice. It was a good kind of event, if that makes sense. But in the escape room, if like how to say I'm an English company without saying I'm English or British, right? How to say I'm British owned without saying I'm British. We're in there, and there was like soft things, or all these things you could bang your head on. And as part of the puzzle, you had to get on your hands and knees and crawl through this thing and go into another room. And they gave you hard hats, like hard hats in case you bumped your head. Just honestly, health and safety in the UK and everything is just nuts. And I get it; they're trying to keep people safe, but why can't people just use common sense? Like, when did common sense stop being a thing where you go, like, the fires I've talked about at Christmas time, the Christmas video that I did, and you've got these open fires. And in the UK, an open fire there'd be a marshal, there'd be a fire marshal stood there with probably a bucket of sand and a high-vis jacket and some ribbon telling you not to touch a bloody fire. And out here, you just have people that look at a fire and they go, not going to touch that because that's hot and I'm going to get burnt. So I'm just going to step back. Like, why can't we just do that? And you can do it here. That's the charm of Cyprus. It's kind of common sense. And then you notice it when you go back to the UK. That's when you see the contrast. That's a rant and a half, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on. Let's see what other questions are coming through. Let's jumped again. A lot of comments coming through tonight. Where are we? Christian, house building, residential extensions, thinking of downscaling when in Cyprus and doing much smaller jobs. Pretty. Okay. Well, I'm assuming you're quite handy because you've done house buildings. I'm assuming you're quite handy. You probably can put up shelves and stuff like that. I guess there's a market, or there's definitely a market out here for like AC, like air conditioning. I don't know why more people don't have solar cars. I don't know why more people don't have solar to charge electric cars. I think that'll be a big thing that comes at some point, off-grid systems. If you can do all of that stuff, then I think you'd be fine. I think there's going to be a big market for off-grid. A lot of people are fed up with the EAC. And again, there's different regulations about what you can do with home battery storage and everything else. But yeah, I mean, if you are pretty handy, then I think you'll be fine. There'll be lots of stuff you can do. And yeah, like I say, if you want to know anything specific, feel free to reach out. You can grab me on Instagram, whatever. You can always have a chat offline. Much retiring, but want to keep busy. That's fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough. I can't imagine anything worse than retiring, to be honest. And I know I'm only 43, but I'd be bored. I get bored. I get bored in a 2-week holiday. I couldn't not work for the rest of my life. I'd be a right pain in the ass. Alex, you can do Acro. That's what it is. Acro and apostle docs remotely if, for example, they expire before your immigration appointment. Yeah, Acro is the police check. Um, yeah, okay, you can do it remotely. Did they? So I'm assuming they send them out, Alex. From they're going to post them. I know we've had stuff posted to and from Poland. I had to do stuff when I was trying to sort out my Polish residency through my grandparents. Was doing stuff there, and I've had to send documents to and from here to Poland. So I'm assuming it's going to be stuff like that. To be fair, I know I bang on about the post. I mean, it does get there. It's slower, and you don't necessarily know where there is. Like you can select a location, and it may or may not turn up at that place. But when we've sent things from Cyprus to places where the postal system works, I mean, it's always arrived. You know, we've never had anything go missing, so that's a good thing. Jonathan, all good. Living in Henley in Oxfordshire. Also have an Aussie passport. Maybe I can get the Cypriot one at some point just to round out the collection. There feels like there's a lot of stories in there, Jonathan, at some point. I think if you ever come to a Cyprus Unfiltered meetup, there'll be a lot of stories to tell there. That'd be cool. Chris, when they close the road in Cyprus, the end of the closed road becomes free parking. It does, yeah. I can't remember if I said this last week. I definitely said it to somebody last week, but roadworks in the UK, right? Talk about Sega and things going slow in Cyprus. So roadworks in Cyprus, not the UK, but roadworks in the UK. Like I went to university in Birmingham and I studied in Birmingham from 2001 to 2004. And for all of that time, and I think for about 15 years afterwards, there was roadworks on that section of the M6. And I could never work out what they were doing. They're always doing something on the M6. And yet in Cyprus, whenever I've seen roadworks, like we had it near us, and it literally, I have told this story recently, but anyway, I'll tell it again for those of you that weren't on the last live. So down the road from us, we had this road, and it was kind of like not one way, but it was like one road that connected Paya, Coral Bay, and everything else to Paphos, let's say. And I remember a couple of years back, we were driving back from somewhere in Paphos, and it was about 9 at night because the sun had gone down. And there was loads of roadworks out, and there was loads of cars queuing, and I was like, oh God. Because thinking we've got to wake up in the morning, got to take my son to school, we're going to have to queue through all this traffic. So anyway, we get home, we do our thing. We'd got friends staying with us at the time. And we woke up in the morning and we went driving towards Paphos. Where the roadworks were the night before, it was all gone. Everything had been completely cleared up. And the road, and we're talking about maybe 400 meters of road and a speed bump and a zebra crossing. A zebra crossing is that, I think, a crossing on the road. All of that had been resurfaced and repainted between 9 at night and the following morning. And like, there's no Sega in that. And in the UK, they would probably have had to have a planning committee, and then they would have had to have done something else, and then they'd have had to get health and safety check done, and then they'd have had to done, and literally that would have taken a bloody month to do that bit of road, and it would just be a nightmare. So anyway, how do I get onto that? I bounced around a lot on here. We're talking about Arco and Apostle docs. Oh no, we didn't. Went on to Cyprus, then we went on to Australia. Here we go, Chris. When they close the road. Yes, cool. Right, it's not just me then. Ha. Chris, you're so spot on there, Mark. When I go back to the UK, it feels so strict and restrictive. It takes some adjustment to live here, but once you get used to it, going back to the UK feels so strange. Yeah, exactly. Lee did 2 days back to UK for business trip, and it was an absolute nightmare. Only thing I could muster up was that there was only thing I could muster up that there was good. I can't read or a minute. Right. Only thing I could muster up that was good. I can't read. Only thing I could muster up that was good was being able to flush toilet paper. That I agree with. I absolutely agree with that. And I tell you what, when you've lived here for a long enough period of time, Lee, what happens is you go to somebody else's house in the UK and you go and visit. And you find yourself reluctantly wanting to not flush the toilet paper. It's like, oh, and it feels naughty. You feel like, oh, I can flush the toilet paper. It's like, oh, this is nice. And you forget what that's like. The only other things I do like from the UK as well, I don't know if you've found this yet, maybe we've not been here long enough yet, but carpets, like we love carpets. Like you go around friends' houses and you're walking up the stairs and there's carpets. It's not hard tiles everywhere. It's carpets. Like, oh, this is nice. CSS Complete Clean and Limited. This is Ben, right? From what I remember, Ben in Burbage. Thought I may have missed your live. Only just managed to get on. No, we chat all night. This ends up being a long night. Karen, Mark would be interested in any info on how to register for electric, water, local taxes, etc. for any future chats. Okay, well, I can tell you about electric. I can't tell you about water because I've never registered for water. All of my landlords have always kept the water bill. Local taxes, did that via my accountant. But I can tell you the electric. I can tell you that right now. Let's go interactive, shall we? So let's run away from the Chimeras Club and let's go to the EAC in Paphos. Got the Alpha Mega Roundabout, this one here, and where are we? Lost it. Where is it? Where is it? It is that one. Got to be that one. Oh no, wait, no, it's not. Hasn't got to be that one. Let me just type it. Leon. EAC. Oh, there we go. Down the road from that. Right, there we go. Cool. Right. So you'll see this big black building when I flip to this. This whole building here, the EAC, and it looks like this. And what you do is from the street view, let's go here. So there's your EAC building, and oh, looks like they're just putting all the cladding on. Anyway, I've only ever parked here. I've only ever parked on the left-hand side. And what I actually found out at one point was you can also park over here. Don't know I'm telling you that. It's just a little bit of a tip because sometimes this is full. But yeah, when I went to meet my landlord to change the electricity out of my name and back into his, we went over here. Now, on the electric front, so you end up walking up this path here, which is this one on the picture. And has it got a picture inside? A little bit. So can I zoom in here? Yes, you walk in here and well, it must have been COVID times. Either that or she's about to be kidnapped. I don't know. But anyway, you walk in and there's a load of tills inside and you take a ticket, you stand in line and you get called up to the counter. And then basically you take your rental agreement and you then would quite often go with the landlord or a landlord's representative. And so in this case, it could be an agent. We had an agent go with us the first time and you literally sign it all there and then. So do you make an appointment? Do you make an appointment? No, I think you can make an appointment, but I think we just rocked up because, like I say, you go in, you take a ticket, and we just rocked up. And so what will happen is you go in there, and then I'll be honest, it's a little bit weird for me anyway because you walk in, you take a ticket, and then you end up being invited to one of these booths, and there you go, people standing in line for their ticket, and you end up sitting down and quite often they'll all just talk Greek. So like because your agent can speak Greek, or in my case, the landlord was speaking Greek, they would just chat between themselves in Greek. And I don't know what they're talking about. They're probably just laughing, going, oh, this English guy's a dick. And anyway, you don't know what they're saying, but anyway, you just sign a few things and that's it. And then what will happen is when you register for the EAC, so I'll come back to me for a second. When you register for the EAC and you're registering for electric, so the EAC is the Electricity Board of Cyprus or the Electricity Authority of Cyprus. You don't have a choice of like E.ON or British Gas or anybody like that in the UK. You can only use the EAC or you go off grid. And as a third country national, you have to pay a deposit. And you have to pay a deposit if you're an EU national, but if you're a third country national, you have to pay €300, or at least it was when I paid mine. And if you're an EU national, you only have to pay €150 as a deposit because for some reason they're more trusting. So you pay your deposit, and then when you finish, let's say you move house or whatever, you have to unregister and then you re-register with your new house, and they will take the final bill out of the deposit and stuff like that. And anyway, you did get the deposit back. They did send it back, but yeah. What I don't like and what I've not been able to do with the EAC is you can't have, or I've not, time to turn my aircon off. You can't have direct debits as such. So you end up paying the bills manually all the time. And that's just a bit of a faff. That feels like you've gone back in time a bit when you're in Cyprus, because I was just used to a standing order going out, and that was it. A direct debit, just goes out every month. You don't need to worry about paying your bills. And sometimes here, you're late because you're like, oh crap, I need to pay it manually. So anyway, it is what it is. But then that's a little bit of the Cyprus piece of the electric. For the water, like I said, I don't know. I've never had a landlord that's put the water in my name. They've always just kept it in theirs, and then they give me a bill every 2-3 months for the water. I'm surprised. So this is Ben again. I'm surprised Cyprus doesn't use more solar. It seems a lot slower compared to the UK on that front. Well, that's because the EAC don't want you to be using solar, because then they can't make any money. And it's a government. Unfortunately, the EAC it's a government agency, or it's government owned, and you can have solar and you can connect it to the grid. And there's lots of reports online of people being disconnected from the grid, and that's because they say overloads the grid. So basically, you get these people that have paid a load of money to have solar installed, and they have it on the house, and then the EAC can just turn it off. They can turn it off, and you've got this solar on your roof, midday sun in the summer, and you're still having to pay the EAC for electric because they've turned your solar panels off. The only way you can stop them doing that is to go off grid and have batteries and everything else. And yeah, it's a pain, it's a faff, but unfortunately, because you've got so much free energy from the sky, it's not very good for business. And if your business is selling people electric, there's a reason why they don't want you to be forward thinking and progressive on the electric and solar front. I've got more comments coming through. You guys are chatting and it's bumping my chat up, and I can't see where I got to now. Chris, post out of Cyprus is fast. Post into Cyprus is chaos. I see in the back room and know why. Yeah. Alex, massive retracted. Ella, roads in Larnaca, the centre of town, has been closed for 2 years, and they won't finish for another year. They allow you to walk among the trackers, though. Oh. Come to Paphos. They're super fast in Paphos. Well, at least they seem to be where I was living. Alex, on YouTube, Paul and Tamara in Cyprus have some great recent content around day-to-day stuff like electricity registration process. Cool. There you go. Check out Paul and Tamara's channel. Mine is rubbish. No, you should absolutely check it out. Like I say, there's plenty of people out there. Paul and Tamara have got a channel. You've got Brian's got a channel. There's a few people. In fact, some people came down to Cyprus Unfiltered a couple of weeks ago. We had Chris and Sue. They've just started a YouTube channel as well. Quite a small one, but they've just started. Definitely go and check out other people's. I do a lot of talking on this. I do a lot of answering questions live, and none of my content is pre-recorded. That might change at some point in the future, but I really wanted to do this in a way that allowed me to connect with you guys, actually interact with you guys, and also in a way that didn't take up much time. And you might think, well, that's ironic because you spend 2-3 hours every Sunday night chatting. I do, but I'm not editing these videos. I'm not spending time editing and polishing and everything else. If I make a mistake, if I screw up, you guys see it. And I'm not sitting there editing my videos to death going, need to make it look really polished. I'd rather it look unpolished, and then you guys see me for me. And hopefully when we meet up in person, what you see right now on camera is what you see when we meet up. The only difference is I might swear more when we meet up, because I try and keep this a family-friendly channel. But absolutely go and watch other people's YouTube channels, because you'll get a difference of opinion, different perspective. We're all based in Paphos. The ones I've just mentioned, we're all based in Paphos. There'll be people in Larnaca. Go watch some Larnaca channels if you're from Larnaca, But yeah, absolutely. Go and watch other channels for sure. And if there's anybody watching, or is anybody watching in the background quietly lurking in the shadows right now, if you've got a YouTube channel on Cyprus, put it in the chat. Let people see your YouTube channel. I have no issue with you guys pimping yourselves out. Put it in the chat. and other people can get some benefit from anything you have to share. So go for it. Chris, Ella Brown, I know, right? I know, right? They're closed Unruh for years now, and they've closed the other high streets. Yeah, seriously, like just come to Paphos. We're now back in the UK, packing and getting ready to leave the UK on the 24th of August, searching for a rental place for the next 6 months whilst we go through the process to purchase. See you soon. Look forward to it, Martin. And yeah, I know we've spoken before you went back, so that's awesome. Look forward to you guys moving out. Lee, I managed to apply online for EAC. It was pretty straightforward, other than the €300 deposit. Oh, I didn't know you could do it online. That's cool. There you go. Every day's a school day. Thanks, Lee. That wasn't a thing when I did it, or if it was a thing, nobody told me about it. Say this channel didn't exist. So I'm really happy to know that you can do it online. Did you need anything from your landlord on this? Because I'm interested if you can hand it back online. Because I know when I was going to get my deposit back from the EAC, they wanted me to go into branch to pick it up, and I'm like, why? I pay you electronically. Why can't you just pay me electronically? I have to come pick up a check. Why? Why? Just pay it to my bank. Why do I have to come pick it up? And eventually got them to pay it into my bank. And anyway, that's fine. But yeah, I'm interested to know about the online process leagues. I didn't know that was a thing. Smadowski. Smados SMA Doski. That rings a bell. Doski, I'm gonna say you're Polish. That's my guess. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, right. Where do we get to? Yes, we went in without an appointment or a landlord, took about 20 minutes and paid €350 deposit. Oh, it's gone up then. Okay. Interested. Chris, worth pointing out, and maybe things are better now, but you do often have to pay expensive deposits here, and I've actually never had any of that money back. Oh, that's interesting because the reason why that's interesting, Chris, is because I've paid deposits for the EAC and I've had that back. I've paid a deposit for my first property that I was renting. And to be fair, the landlords were super fair, but I preempted the fact because they'd already tried to jack my rent 50%, I preempted the fact that they might be arseholes. And so what I said was I basically, for the last month's rent, I literally totaled up what I would have paid them for water because they never gave me a water bill. They just said it's this much and I had to pay it. So what they'd have paid me for water and everything else. And I basically came to an amount and said, right, my deposit was this much. I deducted the things I owed them. And I was like, the way I see it is I will leave. I've redecorated the house, like, touched up everything. Handed it back in better condition than what we got it in. And I said, this is what I think you owe me back out the deposit. And we'll just go from there. And they were cool. They were like, yeah, absolutely agree with it. Agree with the itemized list that I'd put in there. And they says, yeah, sound. And then when I went to the EAC to deregister the electric with the landlord, they literally just gave me a wad of cash. That was it. Done. Okay, cool, sweet. So I've not had an issue with deposits. Lee, I managed to apply online. Oh no, I read that one. Okay, Lee, I had to pay 450 for local services council tax deposit in Tala. It only costs like €180 a year, which seems crazy. So it's interesting because I've never had the council tax in my name either. Both my landlords have kept it in theirs, and I just get a bill for the council tax. Although I haven't had a bill for the council tax this year. I have chased my landlord and said, hey, I think I owe you some money. And she's not sending me the bill. So maybe she just decided to cover it. I don't know. Given that we're in July now, maybe she just decided to cover it. But yeah, council tax out here is crazy cheap compared to the UK. In the UK, before we left, I was paying 285 quid a month. A month. And it's like €180 for the year. So anyway, and my bins, they get emptied twice a week. My black bin, because there's no recycling out here really, like the bin men come twice a week and just empty it and there's no drama, nothing, just easy. So I don't know what the council tax does in the UK, but yeah. Anyway, Lee, thanks as always. Bless you for what you do for us all. Night, Lee. Night, Lou. Thanks for dialing in. I said dialing in again, like dialing into a conference call. Aniel Parada, my mother-in-law. Jesh. Okay, we are out of comments, we're out of questions. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go to the like and share screen. I'll go to this and I'll come back to questions one more time. So what I say, that if you have got any questions, is there anything else you want to know before I hit the sack, then please put them in the chat and I will answer what I can tonight live on the call on the show, whatever. Put your questions in the chat now, I'll answer them. I'll hang around for a bit longer. Otherwise, I can let you go. But what I will say is, look, if you are finding this useful, then please just give it a like and share. I can say, if you aren't subscribed already, please do subscribe, because there are times when I will just try and go live ad hoc as and when tech permits. And so, absolutely, if you're subscribed and you've got notifications on, you'll get told when I'm going live. And you'll be able to keep up with me during the week or any of the time I'm going live. So, how many times can you say live in a sentence? I reckon about 7. With that being said, I am just trying to build the channel I wish existed before we went out Cyprus. So yeah, if you are finding it useful or you think somebody else finds it useful, then please give it a share, because I'm trying to spread the word as much as I can. And I will now come back to the chat one last time, and I will have a look and see who we've got, what we've got. There is nothing new coming through, so that's okay, I guess. Oh, hang on a minute. Chris, no recycling. We do that here in Larnaca. You Paphos people are killing the planet. Yeah, maybe. Don't get me wrong. This is one of the things I had to unlearn from leaving the UK. And I say I had to unlearn it. Old habits die hard. I still put paper or like cardboard next to my bin. I still put milk bottles next to my bin, like in the kitchen, because I don't have 3 separate bins anymore or 4 separate bins. Or now, got friends in Hinckley. They've got a little compost bin. They have to put food scraps in. Like, isn't that what the black bag's for? But no, you have to have a little compost bin. I'm like, ugh. Anyway, we just have one bin. And so my milk bottles, the plastic bottles go next to it. The cardboard goes next to it. And then I take the bins out to put them in the bin at the end of the driveway. And then I remember I'm in Cyprus. And so I've had the milk bottles or the cardboard on display for the last day or so. And then when I take the bin out, I'm like, I'll just put it in the black bag anyway and take it to the bin. So like, I still haven't got rid of those old habits. And the thing is, recycling does happen in Cyprus, but it's you have to drive to the place. And I guess that's partly where some of the council tax money doesn't come into play, because they probably can't afford to do what they do in the UK and have everybody recycling. But you can drive to a recycling centre, but we don't. Let's be honest, I don't. If you do, then you're a better human than I am, but I don't. So anyway, it's good that you recycle in Larnaca. Like I said, we can recycle in Paphos, but it's just a little way away. It's inconvenient, so I'm killing the planet. Ella Brown, bye. See you, Ella. Thanks for joining. Appreciate your time. Philip, Mark, Asher, and all in the chat room. Awesome content as always. Much appreciated. Mark, I gave you a mention on YouTube to Paul and Tamara in Cyprus a couple of days ago. Oh, thank you very much, Philip. That's very kind of you. Gave you a mention on YouTube to Paul and Tamara in Cyprus. Okay, I mean, that's wicked. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And happy to keep helping, happy to keep serving. So I'm glad you're finding the content useful. At least somebody is. SM Adowski. Mark, hi Mark, I'm not Polish, just a name I invented a few years ago for forums, etc. Oh, okay. Well, I apologize. What is your name? What's your real name? Mike, night Mark. Night Mike, night Joanne. Thanks for dialing in. Alex. Thanks, Mark. See ya. See Alex. See Emma. I'll be in touch soon, actually. We need to link up. My family's gone now, so we'll have a chat. Cool. Right. Well, we've got 31 of you online still. Average view duration's 30 minutes tonight. That still blows my mind. Blows my mind that people are that interested in this, in what I have to say, or in your own questions. I don't know, but it's nuts. Find that quite staggering. Thank you. Thank you for giving me your attention for so long. Much appreciated. Guys, if you haven't got any other questions, I will let you go. It's 11:30 here in Cyprus. I will go if nobody's got any other questions. Anybody wants to ask anything? Luckily, the chat's not as laggy tonight as it is normally, so I'm going to guess that there isn't. Karen, thanks again, Mark. Great content and chat as always. Helpful. Also, Philip for the banter. Good stuff. No worries, Karen. Thanks for dialing in. Much appreciated. Cool. Right. Well, in that case, guys, I will leave it there. I am going to be back next week. So have a good week all. Enjoy whatever you're doing. See you in Cyprus if you're in Cyprus. If you're not, you're not. Then that's cool. But hopefully see you out here soon. Have a good one. And I will catch you next week. Cheers all. Good night. Bye for now.